Good afternoon, everybody. Good to have you all join us today. I can see some familiar names here. I can see Sonia. Sonia, is that you? If that's you, type in a yes into the chat. How are we all doing today? How are we all doing? I'm not sure you can unmute yourself, but you can just type in the chat. Let's get to know how you're doing. Okay, you can unmute. How are you all doing today? How is the weekend going? Just drop a message in the chat. You can unmute yourself and speak if you want to. Very well. Been waiting for this one. All right, Benjamin, good to have you join us today. Okay, Zoom user, good to have you join us as well. Before we start, let's get to know where you're joining us from. We're expecting a lot more people to join. It's Sonia. Sonia, good to have you here. All right, let's get to know where you're joining us from. So type into the chat. I'll start by typing mine. I'm joining from the UK. Okay. Adore is joining from Calgary, Canada. All right. Benjamin from the UK, Canada, UK, Sonia, absolutely. Nina, Opong, Ruth, Folorunshaw. Shaw. You guys would hear me mentioning Sonia. So Sonia joined our program last year, and Sonia recently got a job as a HR analyst after completing our HR analytics program. She got a job here in the UK, and it's absolutely phenomenal. If Sonia stays till the end, you get to hear from her. All right, you get to hear from Sonia. She'll get to tell you her story and how she was able to start with us and got a job in the UK working as a HR analyst. Okay, but let's get into it, into the main meat of our session today. Today would be about HR analytics. And the focus, so let me spotlight so you can see me a bit better. And the focus for us today is to look into developing strategies out of the HR related data that we have. And we'll have a practical session with Excel. I was thinking of us using Power BI, but then I thought, let's use Excel. Let's make it a little bit easier for those who are just joining for the very first time. Okay, so if you want to follow what I'm doing, please feel free to do that and let's work together. However, the best way to get value from this session is to watch what I'll be showing you, and then you can go back to replicate and do the same afterwards. Okay. I'd also love us to have an interactive session. So I'll call upon you at some point during the session to give your suggestions and ideas on some of the things we'll be looking at today. So it's going to be an interactive session as much as we can. And let's get into the main meat of what we have today. Once more, good to have you all join. We're expecting more people to join. And today's session would be, I would say it's practical, and at the same time, we'll try to go straight to the point. If you give me your next 1.5 hours, I'll walk you through a case study, practical case study on HR analytics, developing talents, sourcing strategies from the data that you have generated from the company. And then we'd also look into how you can also become a HR analyst and get a job anywhere across the globe. And of course, we'll be introducing one or two things, who we are at Tenalytics and why you stand the best chance learning with us. All right. So this is our session for today, and just a bit of a background as to what we do and who we are. For us at Tenalytics, we're an educational technology company, and the focus is on helping Africans and people of the Black community to transition into tech by lowering the entry barrier, providing you with premium training programs across different areas within the tech ecosystem, especially focused in the data aspects, from data analytics to business analysis, HR analytics, and so on and so forth. Today's session would be centered around HR analytics. How do you take data-driven decisions relating to the people data that you have within the company to drive growth, to drive all the strategies and policies that you'd be implementing within your organization? And one of the things we pride ourselves on is on the quality of the facilitators and the trainers and the professionals we bring to bear. Some of the best professionals across the globe, working with some of the biggest Fortune 500 fantastic organizations across the globe, from Deloitte to Microsoft to Apple to Google, Procter & Gamble, and so many more. So you get to learn from the best in the business, people that are currently doing the job, that have done it before, and would also share from their wealth of experience, passing that across to you. So I'll mute everybody so that we don't have distractions as the session goes on. Now, over the last 3 years, we've been able to help over 1,000 people transition from the classroom to getting their first jobs in tech. And that's what we stand for at Tenalytics. And I'll share the secret sauce as to how we've been able to achieve such remarkable feats and how we can also achieve similar objectives as well, getting into the space, irrespective of what you currently do, and making that switch into a role that is very high in demand across different regions, from the UK to Canada, to even in Africa and across Europe generally. And for those that are joining us for the first time, I would want to say a very big welcome to you one more time. My name is Adeza. I'm the founder of Tenalytics. I'm a data analytics expert with close to a decade years of experience across different sectors, from financial services to educational technology, sports, energy, automobile, and so on and so forth. And I've also worked for some of the biggest organizations, working as a data science consultant in the UK and in the US as well. And I'll be introducing you to HR analytics today. My first degree was in industrial chemistry. I started out my career as a management consultant, but then I pivoted into data analytics. And that goes to show you that, look, irrespective of your educational background or what you eventually start out with, you can always make that transition eventually, because you want to get jobs in the area where you have growing demand. In the next 5 to 10 years, you need to ask yourself this question: where will the future of jobs, the jobs that grow in demand, where will they be? And if you ever think of moving or migrating from your country to some of the major economies across the globe, the UK, the US, Canada, and different other countries across Europe, you want to position yourself to compete and apply for the best jobs available in those countries. Else, you'd get to do the menial jobs that everybody else would easily do. So how do you position yourself for success? We'll look at that extensively today. We'll work on a practical case study. Sorry about that. We'll work on a practical case study, first of all, where we'd come up with talent strategies, and we'd come up with it together. Okay, I'll just facilitate, I'll show you the practical bits, but the strategy itself and what we need to do, you'd come up with that. I'll also show you the skills you need to learn, what to start with, how you need to learn, and where you need to stop and then start applying to jobs. And of course, we'll talk about the upcoming HR analytics program starting on the 4th of November. And we'll look at some success stories and some fantastic discounts that we have available for you. Okay, so we're going to jump into the masterclass, the practical bits of the masterclass right away. If you have Excel and you want to work with me, fantastic, please do. Like I mentioned earlier, I would also I'll make my slides available, which has all the links to the data we'll be looking at and all the other materials for today. So if you want to follow, work with me, fantastic, you can do that. Else, when you get the recording later at your own convenience, you can then implement all the things I'll be showing you. Okay? Now let's look at the case study. What exactly are we looking at today? We're looking at a case study for a company within the tech ecosystem, Teron Corporations. Okay, so Teron Corporations is a leading technology firm faced with challenges in its talent acquisition strategies. Now, they want to know, while the company has a diverse pool of employees, the leadership is keen to understand and also find out the best talent pipelines available. All right. So they want to understand which recruitment channels do they need to consider. Okay. So the company has been in operations for quite a number of years, and they want to know, we have high performers and we have employees that are not doing too well. Now, for the employees that are doing well, do we know where we hire them from? which company did they work in previously before joining our organization? Where did we get them? Was it through a job fair? Was it through an advert? Was it through our website? Was it through LinkedIn? What was the recruitment source? And so many other questions. Teron Corporation wants to answer these questions so that they can develop a talent acquisition strategy. Okay. Now, organizations would always have this data. And you as the HR analyst, your role is to take this data, understand the data, analyze the data, extract some insights to come up with strategies to help implement certain policies within the organization to drive growth from a people-related perspective. All right, we'll do something very simple today, nothing complex above what anybody here can do. Okay, now, Teron Corporation has turned to data analytics to help them answer this question. And you as the HR analyst of the team, you are the one with the data analytics skills. You are good with Excel, you are good with Power BI, with SQL, and so on and so forth. So we are turning to you to help us answer these questions. And when you met with the leadership team, you start down with the group HR officer, with the CHRO, the Chief Human Resource Officer, you start down with her, and you got to find out that there are key areas you need to consider. So you went to her office with a notepad and a pen to find out what she wants to know. All right. So apart from what you'd bring to the table, thinking about what the standards could look like and your own research, personal research, and what you would find out from there, you want to know what the key stakeholder would like to see. And that key stakeholder is the Chief Human Resource Officer or the talent manager and key senior management employees within the HR space. And you got to find out that some of the key insights they want to see from the data that they have includes, number one, which sources of hire, which means which talent source. Is it LinkedIn? Is it the website? Is it an advert we put out there? Is it a job fair or recruitment through an agency? Okay, so which sources of hire produces the best performing employees? All right, so which sources of hire produces the best performing employees? And then which position should we focus on? All right, so now 2 questions in one. They want to know the sources of hire that produces the best performing employees. Once you found out, let's assume the best source of hire is the company's website. Which roles within the company or which position specifically ranks the highest when it comes to recruitment through that particular channel? Okay, so that's the first question. The second question is, which university produces the best performing employees? Now, you'd see some companies that have specific universities they hire from. Okay, it's normal. Companies do this. Some of the big 4, even in Nigeria, in the UK, they have specific universities they focus on. So if you have that, it's an advantage. But if you don't, then part of this talent recruitment strategy would involve other type of areas. But you as an organization, you want to know which university produces the best performing employees, or is there any relationship between performance and the university? If there is none, then there is no need to look at that, but it's a key area to consider. All right. The third question is, determine the previous employers' employees that tend to perform better. Okay, so different employees within your organization joined from a previous employer. So you want to find out, is performance related to specific employers that your employees have worked with before? Let's assume if you hire employees that have worked with Google, they tend to perform very well. Okay, so if that's a trend, then you want to poach people from that organization. You want to target people that have worked there, because looking at your historical data and the performance of those employees that particular category of employees will tend to do a lot better than others. And the last question is, which sources of hire produces the most loyal employees? Simply employees that would stay the longest, because you want to also consider the level of attrition within the organization. So for employees that will come in and stay the longest, yes, several other factors could affect the length of stay of any employee. However, is there any relationship between the channel these employees come from and the employees that stay the longest within the organization? So we'll answer these 4 questions very quickly using Excel. In the next 30 minutes, we are done with the practical bits. And I have the data set, the link to the data on my slide. I'll send that to the chat for you to have access. And then I'll also show you how to download. So when you're trying to do this on your own after the session, you have all the required details to do that. Okay, so all you have to do, just give me a second, please. So all you have to do when you receive the slide is you click on this link. Okay, you click on this link and I'll show you where it takes you to. You click on this link to download the data set, right? And I'll show you what happens when you click on the link. So if you click on the link, it takes you to, just give me a second, please. All right. So when you click on the link, I'm going to copy the link first and drop in the chat for those who would like to download it right away. And I would also show you what happens, where it takes you to when you click on that link. All right, so I'm dropping it in the chats now. Okay, let's see. Chukwuebuka is joining from Enugu. Good to have you, Chukwuebuka. So that's the link to the data I just posted in the chat. Okay, so when you click on the link, it takes you into this particular place. I don't know why it's asking for my password. Okay, let's see. You're not going to get any of this, okay? So don't bother yourself. I have an Outlook account, and that's why I'm not signed in, and that's why it's asking me to sign in. But you won't need to sign in when you click on the link, okay? So you don't need to bother. You don't need to worry yourself when you get the data. Just click on the data, and it takes you here, okay? So when you get here, you'd see what the data looks like, all right? You can't do anything from here because you don't have access to make any changes to the data set itself. So what you need to do, 2 steps. Once you've clicked on the link and it brings you here, click on File. All right, click on File. Click on Save As. You click on Save As, and then you click on what? Download a copy. All right. Let me take that one more time. You click on the link on the slide or the link I've sent to the Zoom chat. It brings you here. You see the data set, what it looks like, employee ID, source of hire, date of hire, position / role. Click on File. All right. Go to Save As and then download a copy. So once you click on Download a copy, it downloads the data into an Excel file in your Downloads folder. All right, so you can see that at the top right corner. If you look at my mouse, you'd see the talent sourcing.xlsx, which is an Excel file. So I'll just go to my downloads. I'll click to go to my downloads. And let me show you what I'm seeing. Bring that to the screen over here. Okay. And from my downloads, I can see the data set. Okay. And that's the data, talent sourcing. Talent sourcing. I'm going to double click on the talent sourcing, and then it brings up the data set, and you'd see what it looks like, which you'd also get to see when you download the data yourself. All right, I'll give you just a few minutes to do that. Okay, for those of you that would like to download the data set. Okay. So now that I've opened up the file, you don't need to download it now, okay? Because if you miss a step, I'm trying to show you, what happens is you lose track and then struggle. So you can watch what I'm doing. Watch what I'm doing. The session is recorded. The link to the data is on my slide. You'll receive the recording for those that stay till the end. You'd also receive the slides. It's also important that you fill the attendance if you want to receive the material. So even if you stay till the end, but you don't fill the attendance form, which my colleague Priscilla would share on the script, would share in the Zoom chat, you're likely not going to get the material for this session. Okay, some Usoro is saying I should paste it again. I've just done that. All right, so Priscilla has just posted the attendance form. All right, and I'm going to post the link to the data. So you see the link to the data set. I just posted it one more time. Now, but this is what you'd see. Now you have employee ID. You have employee ID. You have source of hire. That's simply where the employees were hired from. Some were campus recruitment. Let me maximize a bit so you can see it a bit better. Campus recruitment, job boards, recruitment agencies, employee referrals. What else? LinkedIn, company websites. So there are different recruitment channels, okay? So source of hire, date of hire, when the employees were hired to join the organization. Position / role, software engineer, QA engineer, database administrator, accountant, data scientist, software engineer. Remember that this is a tech company, all right? So all their employees, apart from maybe the HR, the accountants, are in non-technical backgrounds, but you have majority of the employees, coming from tech-related job functions. Then you have the departments, operations, marketing, engineering, and so on and so forth. You have the performance score, all right? Performance score, number of promotions, tenure, how long have they stayed in the company, all right? You have the tenure. Let me see. You have the tenure, you have the reason for leaving, which is totally blank. You don't have anything here, but you have a colon that states reason for leaving. But for some reason, nobody indicated anything, so it's blank. Training programs attended, number of training attended by each employee. You have employee satisfaction score, peer review score. You have the salary brackets. Now, the salary bracket has not been indicated in numbers, but you have different categories: the management level salary bracket, the mid-level salary bracket, the senior level, entry level, and so on and so forth. You have employee referrals, okay? How many referrals from each employee? And then you have mentorship participation, educational background, alma mater, that's their universities, skills and certifications, and then previous employer, okay, and industry experience. So these are all the features or all the columns you have from the data set. As an employee in the HR space, your key question is, what do I do with this data? Because looking at it the way it is makes no sense. You can't deduce anything. You can't tell anything from the data. And that's where having the skills in HR analytics, using data analytic tools to analyze HR-related data, gives you that unique set of abilities and skills to make sense of HR or people-related data. Now, remember, we have 4 questions we're likely going to look at today. And just going back to the questions, the very first question wants us to answer what? Which sources of hire produces the best performing employees? Looking at the data I just showed you, we have a column for performance scores. We have another column for sources of hire, all right? So we want to find out, based on the performance score and where these employees have come from, which source generates or produces the best performing employees, All right, that's the very first question we're going to answer. So we'll take it one at a time and answer the 4 questions. All right. So what I simply need to do, we're going to use something very interesting today, just to, mix it up a bit and make it a bit interesting. We're going to use pivot tables and all of that, okay? But we'll use the AI capabilities of Excel. Now, today you have so many new technologies, so many trends, and it's best to make use of these technologies available to make our work more efficient. We get to do things a lot faster. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you how you can use an AI feature within Excel to answer these questions by just typing in the questions. So rather than doing fancy stuff, creating any fancy thing, or thinking of what to click on, we'll simply type in the questions and get the answers created for us. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll also show you how to do it the manual way, which is if you want to create these things yourself. Now, it's very important that you understand creating it the manual way is always the best way to learn, because you learn the fundamentals. You learn what a pivot table is all about. You learn what a pivot chart is all about, and you know how to create them and the workings of these different tools in Excel. Now, once you have that understanding, AI now makes things a lot easier for you. And when you get a mistake or you have a mistake, you know what to do because you have that fundamental and background understanding of those different tools in Excel. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I can click anywhere on my data set. I don't need to select. I don't need to do anything else. I can just click anywhere on the data, and you can see I can click either on the very first column, which is source of hire, employee ID rather, anywhere around employee ID, or anywhere in between. It doesn't matter as long as I'm clicked within the data set. Okay. Now, at the top right corner of my Excel, if you look at my mouse and you see where my mouse is hovering, you'd see something called Analyze Data. Analyze Data is a feature in Excel, I think from Excel 2019, if I'm correct, or 2016, has this feature of Analyze Data, which is AI driven. All you have to do once you use the Analyze Data feature is type in your questions, and Excel will give you the answers. And you see how we're going to answer those questions, the 4 questions, 1 to 4, using the Analyze Data feature. Straight to the point, like I said, in answering those questions. So this is the data set, and how we analyze the data depends on how we are able to summarize. All right, you have a very broad data set. How do you take that broad data set into something readable, something I can present to anybody who has no experience, no knowledge, no technical background in analyzing data using Excel? That's what we want to achieve. Okay, so all of these data that we have from 1000, 1001, 1002, all the way to 2000, 1000 records of data. How do I compact it, summarize it in a way that it's easy to extract information from and take decisions? Okay, so answering the very first question, which is the source of hire that produces the best performing employees, what I need to do is at the top right corner where you have Analyze Data. And for some of you, you would go to Analyze Data from your Home tab. You make sure you are clicked on the Home tab. And at the extreme right-hand side, you should see Analyze Data. Now, if you don't, what you need to do is activate it. And how do you do that? You go to File, you click on the File tab. So, okay, so I'll try to be slow enough so you can see what I'm doing. You click on the File tab, and then you go to where? Options. You click on the File tab, go to Options. Now, once you click on Options, it gives you this option box where you'd see different options to select and so on. Now, I'm more concerned with the add-ins. Okay, now you only come here if you don't find Analyze Data at the top right corner of your Excel. All right. So you click on file, you click on options, and then you click on add-ins. So add-ins are more or less additional features that you can introduce into your Excel environment. So you click on add-ins, okay? And at the bottom, where you have add-ins, you'd see Excel add-ins. Leave it on Excel add-ins, don't change it, because you have other options like COM add-ins, actions, XML. Leave it on Excel add-ins, don't change anything, and click on go. All right. And once I click on go, you'd see analysis tool pack, VBA, solver add-in. Just ensure you click on analysis tool pack. All right. Once you've clicked on analysis tool pack, you click on OK. You come back to your Excel, you're going to find the analyze data feature available. As long as you have an Excel version above 2016, from 2016 and above, you should have the analyze data feature. All right. I don't need to click OK because I already have it activated. By default, you should have it activated, but if you don't, then you click on file, you click on options, you click on add-ins, ensure it's on Excel add-ins, click on go, and then enable analysis tool pack. Now, I click anywhere on my data, and then I click on analyze data. Okay, I click on the analyze data feature. Now, the analyze data feature simply helps us do the analysis by default. So it will give you some default analysis. And if you don't find the specific type of analysis that you want, you then type in your question. What do you want? Remember the first question. Who can remember the first question we're trying to answer? Just type it in the chat. So like I said, we're going to make it as interactive. So I want to hear from you. What are we trying to answer now? Question number 1, what is it centered around? Can you type that in the chat? Question number 1. So I'll see if you're following what we are doing. What's question number 1? Anybody remembers? Okay, Gabriel is saying where the best performing staff are sourced from. Absolutely. Resource recruitment entity from Zaina. Brilliant. Sources of hire. Fantastic, Benjamin. Evelyn, highest performing employee source. Absolutely. Yes, I can see you are following me. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. So analyze data. Now, I'm not really going to bother myself checking what I have under the analyze data. I'm simply going to type in the question myself. And you can see here at the right-hand side, Excel is asking you, the analyze data feature is asking, or is telling you to what? Ask a question about your data. Ask a question about your data. And just like Evelyn and the other fantastic people that contributed mentioned, I want to find out performance by source of hire. So I'm going to type that in, performance. And as I'm typing it in, you'd see the drop down that says performance score. So I'll click on that. So performance score by, okay, performance score by what? Source of hire. That's what I want Excel to give to me. So I type that in, performance score by source. And again, the moment you start to type the colon that you want, you'd see it drop down for you. So you can keep on typing it, or you can just click on the drop down. You can see source of hire, and I click on that. So you'd see I've typed in performance score by source of hire. That's what I want Excel to give to me. The performance score by source of hire. Now, how do I get my results? I simply hit enter, or I simply click on this arrow pointing forward to submit my question. So I'm just simply going to hit enter. And the moment I hit enter, it's going to give me something. Let's wait. So now we have a chart created for us, and it says performance score by source of what? Hire. Performance score by source of hire. Looks like what I want. Okay, so I'm going to click on what? Insert pivot chart. Now, the beauty of what we are doing is I could have created this myself manually by selecting my data, by clicking on insert, clicking on this, clicking on that to get the same results. But then what have we done? We've leveraged a feature of Excel that has AI embedded at the back end, helping us answer these questions easily. And this is where efficiency comes into play. And when people ask me questions like, oh, the new technologies coming up, the large language model, generative AI, Bard, ChatGPT, everybody's trying to do something. Is this going to take my job? And I just laugh and tell them that, look, these technologies are there for you to make your life easier. Okay, so imagine our parents back in the day to research or to do stuff, to know about different, topics. You have to go to the library. You need to have, Encyclopedia Britannica, or you need to go to the library. You have encyclopedia from A to E, from D to something, for you to get all those insights. And you wonder, how did they work back in the days? Today, we all have Google. You go on Google and you do your search. Now we have ChatGPT. Okay, so the world of work is emerging, and it's going to keep on changing, all in the aim to make work easier for us. And the earlier we start to embed these new technologies in our daily workings, the more efficient we become, the more valuable we become, because we can do work a lot faster, do more work in a very short period of time, and add more value. All right, so all I need to do now is click on Insert Pivot Chart. All right, at the moment I click on Insert Pivot Chart, you can see it creates a new sheet for me, and I have my performance score by what? Source of hire. I'm going to expand this a bit. All right, so let's expand it a bit so you can see it clearly. So I'm going to expand a bit. Now, what I'll do next is, at the left-hand side, I have a table. Okay, and I'll tell you what this table, what it means. The table is called a pivot table. Okay, let me write it there. The table is called a what? Pivot. It's called a pivot table. That is called a pivot table. We could have created this table ourselves manually, but Excel did it for us automatically. Now, this chart you see at the right-hand side that Excel also created for us is called a pivot chart. Okay, why are pivot tables and pivot charts very important? Please pardon my handwriting. It's called a pivot chart. The pivot table is a summary. You saw that entire data that seemed very unwieldy and difficult to understand. When you create a pivot table, it summarizes. So if anybody asks you, what is the advantage, or why do you use a pivot table? You use a pivot table to do what? Summarize your data. So all that data you had, you summarized it into this small table. LinkedIn, campus recruitment, employee referrals, job boards, recruitment agencies, and company websites. These are the different sources of hire. And then you have the average performance score based on each source of hire. What I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to take out the decimals. And to take out the decimals, I'll select the numbers I have. Okay, just select that, all the numbers you have in there. And I'll go to this place that says decrease decimal. All right, so once you've selected the numbers, I want to remove all the decimals, the 0.805, that's just very confusing to look at. So I'm going to reduce the decimal to one place, just to have one single decimal. So I select all the numbers, I go to where you have decrease decimal, and I click on it until I have just a single decimal point. Click, 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 and then I have just a single decimal point. 8.5, 7.8, 7.7, 7.5, 7.5, 7.4. The last thing I'll do here before we move to the next question is I'll right-click on any of these bars. On any of these bars, I'll right-click on any of them, okay? And I'll click on Add Data Labels. Add Data Labels. So once I click on add data labels, you'd see the labels, the number or the average score per recruitment channel or source of hire. So LinkedIn is 8.5, and I'm going to bolden it a bit so you can see it better. Okay, so I click on the number 8.5. I go to bold. I click on bold, and I go to my font, increase the font size. Okay, I'm going to increase the font size a bit to, let's make it 14. So it's bold enough for you to see, right? Now, I want to ask a question. Answering question 1, which simply states which source of hire produces the best performing employees. Based on what we've done now, I want somebody who can unmute themselves to tell me or tell us which recruitment source has the best performing employees. Which recruitment source has the best performing employees? Okay, so I have about 4 hands up. Let's start with you, Paula. Paula, go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Paula. Go ahead. Oh, I think Paula has muted herself by mistake. I've asked you to unmute again, Paula. Please go ahead.
Sorry, it was not allowing me to unmute. It's LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, absolutely. And what's the next after LinkedIn, Paula?
It's campus recruitment.
Campus recruitment, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Paula, for contributing. And I'm sure Grace and the others also wanted to contribute, but I think Paula has given us, and we also have that in the chat. Kolawole says LinkedIn, Femi says LinkedIn, Nonye says LinkedIn, Temitope, Aniebet, Raymond, you're absolutely correct, Zainab. It's LinkedIn, 8.5. It clearly shows us from these charts that what? LinkedIn gives us the best performing employees, the best performing employees. So when you're asking questions, you're not assuming. Now, most of the way most of us work today is based on assumption. We depend too much on our experience and assumption. Okay, I think the best performing employees would come from a particular channel. However, what the data clearly tells us is what it really is. And I'll tell you more often than not, your assumption is always wrong. We've seen this so many times. Even internally as a company, we assume certain things. It must be this. Oh, people don't pay at this particular time because they haven't gotten their salaries. But that's usually wrong assumptions. But when we analyze the data, it tells a totally different picture. And that's why data analytics, being able to extract insight from data is the most, I would say, valuable feature, or the most valuable elements of any business in terms of growth. So here you have a clear picture on what to do. If I'm going to recruit, I know where I'm recruiting and why I'm also recruiting. Okay, so this is question number 1. Now, but also remember that question 1 is it has 2 sides. And let's go back again and look at it one more time. Question 1 also wants us to find out the positions that we should focus on. So now we've seen that it is LinkedIn. The question now is, which position should we be focusing on? Yes, LinkedIn gives us very high performing employees. 8.5 is the average performance rate from employees that come through LinkedIn. But then, which specific position do we get that number from? Okay, so we want to know, is it all the positions that come from LinkedIn, or do we have specific positions that we should narrow down our focus to? All right. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to have to create it from scratch again, I'm simply, okay, so let's do it on this. I'll do the next set of questions, I'll do it on this same chart, all right, so that we save time, because I want us to wrap up the practical bits within a very few reasonable minutes. Okay, so now that I'll take out all of this so we don't have distractions. All right, take out the writings. We've known that it is LinkedIn that gives us the highest performing employees. So which means I can take out all the others. I can remove campus recruitment, employee referrals, job boards, recruitment agencies, and company website. I can take them out. So I'll go to my table at the left-hand side. I'll click on the drop-down on my table, and you can see all the different sources selected. I'll deselect everything and leave only LinkedIn. Deselect everything and leave only what? LinkedIn, because that's where I want to drill down to LinkedIn. And then I click on OK. All right. So now I have just LinkedIn 8.5. Okay. What do I want to see? I want to see the positions gotten from LinkedIn, so I can see the scores for each position. And I want to look at the best position. Oh, data science might be the position that we get the best from LinkedIn, or UX designer might be the position. I want to see the position. Okay. So I'm going to close my analyze data at the right-hand side. All right. And I need to bring out what you call the pivot chart field, what I can use to change my pivot chart or my pivot table. So you can either click on your pivot chart or you click on your pivot table, any one. So if I'm clicked on my pivot chart, for example, or the pivot table, at the top of my Excel, you'd see the pivot table analyze. Or if I click on the pivot chart, you'd see pivot chart analyze, depending on what you click on. So if I clicked on the chart and you see pivot chart analyze, click on that. Okay. And then you'd see field list. Field list. I'm going to click on field list, and the field list would show you your chart fields, okay, where you have what and what is where at any point in time. So even though you're not clicked on the chart and you're clicked on the table, you would still see the pivot table fields. Now, this simply is my data, the data that was used to create the pivot table that Excel created for me. I just want to modify it a bit. And this is why understanding how to use Excel becomes important, because AI cannot do everything for you. The human being would also still have to make one or two changes. I want to drill down into the position. So what I'll do is I'll look for position/role. You can see that position/role. I'm going to drag it and I'll drop it under this place that says roles, source of hire. I'll drop it underneath the source of hire. So I'll go to position, I'll drag it, and I'll drop it under source of hire. Okay, that's all I need to do. Take position, drag position, drop it under source of hire, and then you can see that the chart changed. Okay, but it's all over the place. I can't see the one that is the highest or the one that is the lowest. All right, so I'm going to do one more thing, which is to filter or to sort. I beg your pardon, to sort, not to filter. So I'm going to go to, let's just move this a little bit. All right, I would go to where I have the average performance score, and I want to filter from the highest to the lowest. So start from the score that is the highest and move all the way down to the lowest. So all I need to do is right-click on any of the scores. Right-click on it. You'd see your sort. You go to sort from largest to smallest. That's all you need to do. Okay. Now I've done that. Let me close this. Okay. Now, if I'm going to recruit from LinkedIn, I want you to tell me the top 3 roles or the top 3 positions that you think we can recruit from LinkedIn. The top 3 roles or the top 3 positions you think we can recruit from LinkedIn. If you want to speak, please raise your hand. Okay, Grace, this time around. Grace, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Please go ahead.
Okay, so the top 3 roles that we can hire from LinkedIn are content writer, project manager, and then UX designer.
Content writer, project manager, and UX designer. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Grace. Now, let me ask, if you're asked a question that, which of the roles do you think we need to discontinue from hiring from LinkedIn? let's assume we even want to take that decision. Which role do you think we should discontinue? But to discontinue hiring for any role from LinkedIn. Precious, I've asked you to unmute.
Okay, so I think would be going from the lowest: data scientist, software engineer, and accountant.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Precious. So now you start to see that to answer questions, you don't just answer questions from the top of your head or answer questions from your gut feeling or how you feel, what you think should be. You need to have the skills to extract some insight from the data to help you take those decisions. So first of all, we looked at the source of hire and we saw that, look, LinkedIn gives us the highest at 8.5. People that come from LinkedIn, the average performance is 8.5. But let's drill into it a little bit and let's find out. Even from LinkedIn, if we are to get the highest performing, let's assume the top 3 roles we should focus on for LinkedIn. We drill down a little bit using the positions. And what did we see? Content writer, project manager, and UX designer. Okay, and these are the roles that gives us the highest performance from LinkedIn. So question 1 is done and dusted. Remember, we didn't have to do too much creation. We didn't have to go and click on this, write any complex function, or write any complex formula to get the question answered. Excel did it for us. Okay, I'm going to move to question 2 very quickly, and I'll take questions from you. I know you'd have burning questions you'd like to ask. So I'll go back to my data set and click on the data set tab. This is my data. Okay, I want to answer question 2. Question 2 is, which university, so let's look at question 2. Which university produces the best performing employees? So let's assume that we want to even consider university as as part of our talent strategy. Do we need to go into these universities and try to source for candidates or try to source for talent from these universities? Is there a relationship? Is performance based on specific university? Is there any major difference between the student universities and their performance? You want to also check. So that's question number 2. Again, we're going to use analyze data to help us do that. Okay, so go back to your data, click anywhere around your data, click on analyze data at the right-hand side. And I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you manually how to do this. So for those that don't have analyzed data, how do you still create the things that we are creating? Okay, I'll show you how to do that as well. But let's use AI. AI has come to make life easy for us. So why stress? Okay, so I'll click on analyze data. All right. And then I'm going to type my question here again one more time. This time around, I want to know performance score. All right, so the moment you start typing, you'd see the colon suggestion come up. So performance score by what? By alma mater. Because if you look at the data itself, university is listed or indicated as what? Alma mater. So I'm going to type that there. Performance score by alma mater. And of course, you'd see the drop down. So I'm going to click on the drop down. So I'm telling Excel to give me the performance score by alma mater. I can either hit enter to take me to create, the insight it has seen, or I simply click on that arrow at the front to submit my question. So I hit enter, and then it gives me a table. You can see the table, performance score by alma mater, average of performance score. I don't want a table. I want a chart. Don't give me a table. Give me a what? Chart. So I'll go back to my question and I'll type performance score by alma mater, give me a bar chart. All right, so I'm going to type that in. And this is the beauty of AI. Like I said, performance score by alma mater, bar chart. And then I hit enter. And it converts that table into a chart for me just by typing it in. No stress. I don't need to do anything too complex or cumbersome to get this done. And then I click on insert pivot chart. Okay, so this would insert it into my Excel. I'm just going to expand it a bit. Okay, let's expand a bit. Now I'm going to take out my decimals again because this is very difficult to look at. So many decimal places. I'm just going to select all the numbers on my performance score, and I'll go to decrease decimal. I'll click on it until it reduces the decimal places to just one decimal place. That's what I want. Okay, so you can see 7.9, 7.9. They are very, very close. I want the numbers to show on the chart. So I'm going to right click on any of the charts, and then I'll click on add data labels. All right, and then you see the numbers. I'll click on the numbers. I want to bolden it and make it big so you can see. So I'll click on bold over here and also increase the font size by clicking on that until I take it to 14 so that it is bold enough. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question myself. Looking at this, the performance by alma mater, yes, Oxford University seems to have the highest performance score at 7.9. But then if you look at the other universities, the difference is between 0.1 to 0.4. So they are very, very close. So looking at our employees and the universities they come from, performance really doesn't make, the university really doesn't make a major difference with regards to performance. Okay, so if you look at Oxford University, 7.9, RISD, 7.9, New York University, 7.8, University of London, University of Michigan, California. So they're very close. So university really doesn't make much of a difference when it comes to our talent recruitment strategy. So we might really not take that into consideration, okay? Except there is a particular university that shows major gaps or major difference between another university, which you really don't have here. They're all above 7, all above the point of 7.5 and above. So I think we can count university as a factor that is not really a determinant to performance. This is just based on the analysis we've done so far. We've not gone deeper into anything. All right. So that's question number 2. Answered, done, and dusted. We're going to move to question number 3, which wants us to find out based on previous employer. Okay, so determine previous employers and if that affects the performance. Does the previous employer impact the performance of the employee? We want to also know. Okay, so that's question number 3. And then we'd answer the 4th question, which is the tenure, how long employees stay within the company, and the source of hire. So employees that come from LinkedIn, do they stay longer? All right, employees that come through job boards, do they stay longer than other type of employees or other categories of employees rather? So let's answer question 3 and question 4. So I'll go back to Excel. I'll go back to my data set. Ensure I'm clicked on my data set. We're still on analyzed data. So if you don't have analyzed data showing, perhaps you have closed analyzed data. All you need to do is click on it. But if it's still there, you can type in the next set of questions to get your answer. Then the next one is simply performance by what? Previous employer. Okay, the same way we did question 1 and 2, I'll do question 3 and 4. So performance score, select that by previous employer. And of course, you see that drop down every single time. So performance score by previous employer. Okay, and then I hit enter. And again, it gives me as a table. So you can choose the type of chart you want, a column chart, a bar chart, a line chart, depending on what you want. The first time we used the bar chart. This time around, let's use a column chart. So I'd say, I don't want the table. I want performance score by previous employer as a column chart. Okay, as a column chart. And then I hit enter again. And then you can see the columns rather than the bars. You can use the bars, you can use the column, depending on what you want. So now that it has given us the column, I'll just simply click on what? Insert pivot chart as usual. And this brings me here. Let's expand again as usual. Okay, and you can see the companies, you can see the performance. 2 companies seems to have, higher performance compared to the others. So what I'm going to do, as usual, I'm going to reduce the decimal points so it's easier to see. So decrease decimal to only 1 decimal place. All right. And I want to add the labels on top of each colon so we can see it on top of the colons, and it's easier to visualize. So I right click on any of the colons and I click on add data labels. Okay. Click on the label, make it bold, increase the size by clicking on increase font. Take it to 14 so you guys can see it better. Now let's ask the question. Which of the two, let's say, what's the top previous employer that employees tend to have better performance? Okay, the previous employers from which employees tend to have better performance. I want somebody who hasn't spoken so far. Not Precious. Precious just spoke a while ago. So Blessing, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Blessing, please go ahead. Are you there, Blessing? I've asked you to unmute. Okay, maybe Blessing is not ready. Let's take Femi. Femi, I've asked you to unmute yourself.
Yeah. You can hear me clearly.
Loud and clear. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so the top 3 performing staff from previous employer are Deloitte, Facebook, and Microsoft.
Deloitte, Facebook, and Microsoft, absolutely. But if I'm going to pick the top, I think Deloitte and Facebook seems to have, they are ahead of the pack compared to the other companies. Thank you very much for that, Femi. That's a fantastic contribution. So again, we can see that when we looked at the source of hire, that's the very first one we did. It was very clear that LinkedIn was the way to go. Okay. And then when we dived a bit deeper into the data, we saw that content writer, project managers, UX designers are the top 3 positions that we hire from LinkedIn. Now looking at the previous employers, we can also see that Deloitte and Facebook seems to be leading the pack when it comes to previous employers that employees come from. Now, the last analysis we're going to do, and then I'll show you how to do all of this manually without typing in, questions in analyze data. How do you do it if you want to do it manually? Perhaps your version of Excel does not have analyze data. Does that mean you can't do all the things we've done today? You can still do them. Okay. So let's answer question number 4. And then we'll start to wrap up the practical part, and I'll show you the skills you need to do. This is just, I would say, a tip or just a fraction, a very tiny fraction of what Excel can do for you. All right. So I go back to my analyzed data, and question number 4 is all about the loyalty of employees, the tendency for employees to stay longer, and the source of hire. So you want to see the tenure of employees by what? Source of hire. Okay, the average tenure of employees by source of hire. So I'm going to type that in. Average tenure. Of course, you see tenure pop up. Average tenure by source of hire. Okay, average tenure by source of hire. Now, some of you ask the question, how do I always know the question to ask? There is no hard and fast rule. Okay, all you do is, you know what you want to see. Type it in anyhow you can type. Give me the average tenure of employees by source of hire. I need to throw up something for you. If it doesn't give you what you want, you modify your prompt. Okay, until you find the prompt that gives you the best type of results. So what I've seen that gives you the best type of results is indicating the columns you want to work with. If it's tenure by this. If it is performance by this. And then it gives you very good results from there. So here I want to see the average tenure by source of hire. And then I hit enter. And then it gives me the tenure, the average tenure, and then you can see the source of hire. As usual, I click on insert. Let's increase the size of this. Reduce our decimals as usual. We should be used to this by now. Select the numbers, decrease decimal until we have just one decimal place. And let's add the labels so we can see the labels on all the bars. I right click and then I click on add data labels. Let's increase the data labels as well. So I click on any one, it selects everything. I go to bold, I make it bold, and then I increase the font size. Let's make it 14, so it's bold enough. All right. So looking at this, without calling anybody to speak, there's really not much difference between where the employees come from and how long they stay on the average in the organization. However, we can see that job boards has a slightly higher, tenure, average tenure compared to the other sources. So which means that it might be worth taking a second look at. Maybe you want to drill down a bit to find out, oh, who are these employees that tend to stay longer? Are they employees that are technical in UX, data science, software engineering, or are they employees that falls within the non-technical roles like HR, accounting, strategy, and so on and so forth? Okay, so you can dive a little bit deeper to ask these questions and ask your data more questions. Okay, there's a saying that goes, the more you flog your data, the more your data would confess. The more you ask questions, the more you get answers from the data itself. Okay, but we're not going to go into too many things today because, of course, we don't have all the time. And what we are doing is to show the capabilities of a tool as accessible as Excel. Everybody can access Microsoft Excel. As accessible as it is, you can extract meaningful insights to help you develop your talent acquisition strategy. Number one, we're looking to hire content writers, project managers, UX designers, and generally in other roles. LinkedIn seems to have the best performing employees. So in terms of performance and where the employees come from, LinkedIn should be a key aspect of our talent recruitment plan. Okay, now looking at the education, the universities they come from, you don't really have significant difference between the different universities. However, a couple of universities seem to have high performance rates, from Oxford to RSID to New York University. Okay, looking at the other question we try to answer, which is the performance by previous employer. If we're looking to poach, remember we're in the technology space and employers easily move, especially within the tech space. You have employers who work with Facebook or work with Meta, they move to Twitter or X, and they move to LinkedIn, they move across these different organizations within the same industry. So it's not bad at all. Rather than looking for employees within those different organizations within the tech space, are there other organizations where we can get employees and they perform better? And Deloitte, which is not a technology company, seems to be the highest performing, right? It's also good for us we can drill down into Deloitte. I showed you how to do that a few minutes ago. You can filter for only Deloitte. Okay, filter for only Deloitte. And then let's close the analyze data. And this is just, an extra or bonus because you want to see the positions or roles for Deloitte and where these positions are, if they are technical or technology related roles or not. Okay, we click on pivot chart, analyze, we click on field list to bring out the field list. Okay, and we want to take position/role, click on it and drag and drop it under the previous employer here. And it gives us, of course, you can see, it gives us the different roles. Again, we want to filter so that it shows us from the lowest to the highest. So I go to my numbers, right click on it, and I sort from what? Largest to smallest. Okay, so we can see that even from Deloitte, the roles that perform the best, drilling down to just Deloitte, content writers, data scientists, and project managers. Now remember that the source of hire, content writer, came from LinkedIn. Project manager also came from LinkedIn, but data scientist did not come from LinkedIn. Data scientist was like one of the lowest when it comes to LinkedIn. You can see that here, 8.1. And somebody even suggested that, look, these are the roles we should discontinue from LinkedIn. So looking at this, where was that again? Here. If we want to get content writers, we want to target content writers from LinkedIn, number one, and they must be coming from organizations like Deloitte. Okay, so that's a way to plan and target employees. Project manager was also part of the top 3 that came from LinkedIn. Data scientist was not just the role that came from LinkedIn. So we need to find out where's the best place to get data scientists from. And these are questions we can keep on asking, and our data can keep on giving us the answers to these questions. I'll quickly show you how to do all of these things we've done manually. And then I'll take you back to the slide and we start to wrap up our session, because I want to show you the skills that you need to start and get a job as a HR analyst. That's a HR professional that can analyze data analytics, analyze people-related data using data analytics tool. And I also want to show you that you don't need to have a background in HR to get a job as a HR analyst, okay? So let's do this manually, okay? So what you need to do when you want to do this manually is go to your data. Let's assume you don't have analyzed data, the analyzed data feature on your Excel. Go to your data set. Go to the very first cell that has employee ID. That's the very first cell on your Excel. Just go there. Press Control A. Control A means select all, right? Control A means what? Select all. So I press Control A. It selects my entire data for me. And then from the Excel ribbon, you'd see File, you'd see Home, you'd see Insert, Draw, Page Layout, Formulas. Click on what? Insert. Click on what? Insert. Once you click on Insert, you'd see Pivot Table. Pivot Table at the extreme left. You can either click on the icon, Pivot Table, or you click on the drop-down, Pivot Table. If you click on this drop-down, you'd see different options. You want to select the option that says Table/Range. If you don't have the drop-down, just click on the icon. If I click on the icon directly, let me show you. If I don't click on the drop-down and I click on the icon, it's going to show me the box to create my pivot table. All right? Now, if you have the drop-down, let me cancel. If you have the drop-down, click on the drop-down and you select from Table/Range. It gives you the same thing. So I click on that and I have my pivot table dialog box. You don't need to change anything. All you have to ensure is that it is on new worksheet. You want to create the pivot table in a new worksheet. You don't want to create it in this same worksheet because you already have data in here. It's going to make your data and your pivot table, too clustered and not neat enough for you to work with. So new worksheets, click on OK. All right. So once you click on OK, you have your pivot table and you can see that pivot table field at the right-hand side. So here you create your table yourself. Excel is not creating it for you. We are doing it manually. I would answer only question 1 for you, and I'll leave question 2, question 3, and question 4 for you to solve manually if you want. Question 1 was source of hire and average performance. The performance from each employee based on their source of hire. How do I do this without Excel doing it for me? Once you have this pivot table, you have your pivot table field at the right-hand side. Go there and look for where you have source of hire. You can see the source of hire here. Click on it to select. Just click on it to select. And then you see, let me maximize this a bit so you can see it better. Okay, so when I clicked on source of hire, you can see the source of hire at the left-hand side: campus recruitment, company websites, job boards, employee referrals, and so on and so forth. Okay, but what do I want to do with this? I want to look at the average performance, the score. So what I'm going to take is I'll look for the performance score. You can see that here, performance score. I'm going to drag performance score and I'll drop it under values. So I'll drag performance score and drop under values, because performance score is numerical. It contains numbers. So I want to drop it under what? Values. Whenever you drop something under values, Excel, being intelligent, would want to sum it up for you automatically. Sum. Let me add it up. Let me aggregate it together as a sum. Okay. But we don't want the sum of performance. We want the average performance. If 100 people come from LinkedIn, what's their average performance from 0 to 10? Is it 5? Is it 7? Is it 8? Or is their average performance 10? So, but when you aggregate, you are adding up everybody's score together, which makes no sense. So how do you change the sum to the average? Simply go to any of the numbers on your table, right-click on it. Okay, go to where you have summarize values by. Summarize values by. The default would be on sum, but you know that you don't want the sum, you want the average. You go to the average and then you click on what? Average. And it gives you the average. Remember, the first thing we did, Excel did it for us, so it looked very good and very simple, but now we are doing it ourselves. So now you've seen 7.8, 7.4, 7.6 with all the decimals as usual. I want to take out all the decimals. So I'll select my numbers. I'll click on my home tab, home. I go to where I have my decrease decimal. By now, if anybody here who doesn't know how to use Excel should know how to decrease decimal. We've done it like 1,000,000 times already. So I click on decrease decimal until it reduces the decimal place to what? 1 decimal place. Now I want to sort from the largest to the smallest. Give me the highest score and go down in descending order. So I right-click on any of the numbers again. I go to sort and I select sort from what? Largest to smallest. And then you can see LinkedIn is what? 8.5. Campus recruitment is 7.8. Employee referral is 7.7. We've created our table manually, just like the way Analyze Data created for us. The last thing we're going to create now is the chart to visualize, bring it as a picture where it's easy for anybody to look at and see the bars. When you buy reports, you look at PwC's reports, KPMG, different organizations, McKinsey, you see those fancy charts that look good. You can look at it and see what the chart is trying to tell you, or what they're trying to tell you based on the analysis they've done. Click anywhere on your table. At the top, you'd see the pivot table analyze. Click on it. Okay, click on pivot table analyze. And then you want to insert a pivot chart. Okay, you want to insert a pivot chart. I don't have insert a pivot chart here, but what we're going to do now is we go to insert. Rather than clicking on pivot table analyze, you can simply click on what? Insert. Okay, and then you see pivot chart. This is what I was looking for, pivot chart. All right, so remember that Analyze Data gave us both the pivot table and the pivot chart, but now we've created the pivot table. The next thing is to create the pivot chart. So click anywhere on your pivot table, click on insert, and then you'd see the pivot chart. Click on pivot chart, and then you can select the pivot chart that you want. You can select the column chart, you can select the line, you can select the bar, and different charts that you want to use. I'm going to select column just so it's different from what we've done before. Select column, use the very first option under column chart. All right, and then I click on OK. So this gives us our column chart. And just like we did the very first time, Let me close this so we can see this clearly. Just like we did the very first time, you can see, let's add the data labels. Right click on any of the bars and then add data label. LinkedIn has 8.5, Campus 7.8, employee referral 7.7. So you see all the steps we took to create these charts. Excel can create it for us automatically by using the analyze feature, analyze data feature, and you get your answers to the question that you have or you want to ask from the data itself. Okay, what's the best source of hire? Now you know it is LinkedIn. And which position should we focus on? Now you know, let us focus on content writers, project managers, UX designers. And if we even want to look at the others, because you can see 8.6, 8.6, 8.5 out of 10, that's very high. Second question is, which university produces the highest? It's Oxford University at 7.9. But then again, the difference between the other universities are not so much. The difference is very little, and it is insignificant to determine if a particular university has an advantage over the other. Now, the previous employer, do you have that major difference? Yes, we did when we looked at this, and we saw that it was Deloitte and Facebook. And for Deloitte, our content writers, data scientists, and project manager seems to have the highest, and even HR manager as well. Okay, and the last question was the tenure and performance of employees. Okay, so based on the location, I beg your pardon, based on the source of hire and the tenure, how long the employees stay, is there a major difference? Just the job boards shows that employees that come through job boards tend to stay on the average 2.7 years, almost 3 years in the company. Okay, very close to LinkedIn and very close to recruitment agencies and even the other, recruitment sources or channels. So you don't have significant difference between them. But if you want to double down and be sure and focus on a particular source, then job boards and LinkedIn would be the way to go. And from this, you can design and start to address your talent acquisition strategy by doing this sort of analysis. And we've done this using just Excel. You can do this using Power BI. You have a database, a HRIS system in your organization. You can extract the data from the HRIS, get it into your Excel, your Power BI, and do this analysis. And HR needs to move from the conventional way of doing HR that is very, I would say, to a large extent, mundane and does not get things done on a strategic perspective. And that's why you'd see a lot of time they'll say HR is a cost center and HR does not really give strategic insights and recommendations as to how to grow the company and so on and so forth. Okay. Peace is saying, what are we talking about? I'm just getting here. You can't really get what we've said so far. You joined 1 hour, 13 minutes after we started. Peace. So what our advice is, once you get a recording, take time out, watch the recording, and that'll give you very good insights. So now we start to wrap up in the next 30 minutes. And what I want to show you now is, what sort of skills do you need to become a HR analyst and get a job anywhere across the globe? Okay, what sort of skills do you need to get into HR analytics and help you get a job anywhere across the globe? Now, who is a HR analyst, first of all? A HR analyst is simply that person that can take HR-related data, people-related data in the company, and analyze that data, get insights from the data to recommend HR strategies. So you're not recommending strategies based on what you think that has worked 5 years, 10 years ago. No, you are making those decisions based on what the data has told you it is. What's our best talent pipeline? Our best talent pipeline is LinkedIn. What's the role? The role that gives us the best performance from that talent pipeline is the content writer, followed by the project manager, and so on and so forth. So that's the HR analyst that can convert data that looks like this and convert that data into something that looks like this to take decisions and help the company answer key questions. That's who the HR analyst is. So we have so many other sessions we've held, and I've kept some of the links in here for you to go back, watch them on YouTube, and get to see some of the analysis we've done in the past. So the key question now is, what does it take to become a HR analytics professional? What do you need to learn? And I've seen so many people learning so many things without any reasonable traction or any reasonable level of success. So what do you need to do as an individual? First of all, you need to learn problem solving. That's the very key skill. You need to know how to solve problems, how to define problem statements, what exactly is wrong with the company, and how can I come in to start to solve the problem for the organization. Then you need to understand how to use Excel. We use just a teeny bit feature of Excel today, just a very little tiny bit of Excel. There's so much Excel can do. You build dashboards, you build different, carry out different analysis, use different advanced functions to help you extract insight from data, summarize your data using pivot tables, creating pivot charts that you use to create your dashboards eventually. Once you've learned Excel, which gives you that fundamental background to understanding of data analytics, you then move to Power BI and then SQL. Power BI is a business intelligence tool. And with Power BI, you can handle more data that Excel cannot handle. You can build amazing dashboards and data visualizations that you would use to communicate your insights and also automate the process of creating the dashboard. So as a HR professional, you have those presentations you have every week. You don't want to go into those monthly performance review sessions or quarterly review sessions, and then all you're communicating is number of people that went on leave, number of people that left the company and resigned. You want to tell them why people are resigning. What are the factors that are driving resignation? And once you know things like this, can we start to prevent people from leaving by implementing strategies that would help to retain employees? Because employee retention is very, very important. All right. So what are the factors driving employees to leave? Okay. Can we identify those factors and categorize the employees that are at risk of leaving and have things we call stay interviews? I keep on saying this in every session, stay interviews. And what are stay interviews? If you know that an employee is likely going to leave, you don't wait for the employee to drop his or her resignation and then you have an exit interview. You'd have a stay interview with them, find out what their pain points are, where is the problem. We've identified they are likely going to leave, okay? And then you can stop that employee from leaving by implementing strategies to address those pain points. And that's what HR has to be today, more strategic, understanding how to develop and design strategies around employee retention, talent management, succession planning, and so on and so forth. And once you've done that, you have to learn SQL as well, because SQL is what gives you the opportunity or the ability to interact with databases. Organizations would have their data in a database. How do you get into the database? How do you write queries to extract data from the database? Very important for you to learn SQL as a HR analyst. And then you would learn HR analytics and performance evaluation, HR metrics and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, building dashboards, communicating insights using those dashboards, automating your reports, and learning how to collaborate when creating your reporting and dashboards and so on and so forth, building your case and creating action. And last but not the least, ChatGPT for analytics. ChatGPT for analytics. ChatGPT is one of the most, now if you think the analyze data feature on Excel is fantastic, wait until you learn how to use ChatGPT to analyze data. You'll be marveled and blown away. No matter how experienced you are, I can bet you that there are a lot of things you haven't seen in ChatGPT. I've seen them and I've used them, and I can bet you that you've never seen them. And seeing those things in ChatGPT would blow you out of the water, blow you away completely, because ChatGPT today is a game changer when it comes to the analytics space. And there's no better time to be in tech. There's no better time to be in data than today, because you have so many tools at your disposal to help you get the job done. I was discussing with somebody working with one of the largest data consulting companies here in the UK. And he was telling me that, look, I'm not very particular about employees that are experts using a particular tool. No, I want you to know how to use the tool. But what is more important to me is you know how to use ChatGPT very well. Because if you know the tool and you know how to use ChatGPT, you can get everything you need to do. ChatGPT can get it done for you without any hassle. And because you have that fundamental knowledge and background, you can then modify, you know what to change, you know what to address, you know if there are errors, you know why those errors are coming up and so on. Okay, so as a HR professional, how much are you likely going to earn in an organization here in the UK per annum? On the average is about £32,000. Canada, about 71,000 Canadian dollars. And in the US, about 62,000 US dollars on the average. Okay, it could be higher, most of the time higher than the figures you've seen here. And how long does it take? And this is the most important part of transitioning, because a lot of people feel these things are so difficult. All right, and bet me today, the moment you take this back, later this evening, when you're a bit relaxed, all distractions are gone, your children are sleeping, you don't have any distraction, just go to your table, watch the recording again one more time, download the data set, and try to implement all the things I've shown you. Your ability to complete it without any problem would show you that, look, I can get this done. And it takes you 4 months to make the transition. 3 months project-based classes and 1 month internship. Now, the project-based classes are classes where you get to work on projects. You solve real life projects. Okay, so you're not learning things, you're not learning definitions. Oh, what is absenteeism? Absenteeism can be defined as when employees do not report. You start to define terms and terminologies. No, that's not the best way to learn to transition and get the job going. As a professional within a skill-heavy area, you need to know how to use these skills. You need to know how to solve problems for organization on day one when you get recruited. All right, so you need to work on projects, and that's the way you're going to learn in class. And that's the best way to learn, project-based learning. And then you have 1 month internship where you get to work on projects that are real life based, work together, collaborating with other professionals like the data analysts, the data scientists, and I'll share and showcase some of the projects that our participants are currently doing at the moment. The HR guys collaborating with the data analytics guys, and they're working on a project and collaborating together to solve that problem. How do you learn with us? When would your class start? I'm a professional. Some of you would say that I'm busy during the week, 9 to 5. I have to go to the office. I come back around 8 or thereabout, 8 p.m. in the evening. So how do I still join the class? Class happens Saturdays, your live classes. Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right? And that's when you have your live class. On Sunday, you have something called the Watch Me Do It video, which is bite-sized video that contains certain concepts that you'll be learning during the program. Okay, so bite-sized videos you can watch at your own convenience. It is self-paced. You don't have to watch it at a particular, period. You have to just watch it before the next class starts the following Saturday. Saturday is when you have a trainer like myself and any other facilitator walk you through concept, and you look at a project together, real life project, solve that project, and then you get to build your own solution. And I'll show you some of the projects you would work on, taking you to the platform, and you'd see how you would learn with us at Tenalytics. And on Sundays, you have your videos to watch at your own convenience. Some people break the videos during the week, so they watch just the part on Sunday. On Monday, they use that to practice and ensure that they're always in touch with their HR analytics classes. And that's the way you learn. So it's a blended approach where you have your live classes on Saturdays and then you have your Watch Me Do It videos on Sundays. And one of the ways we also tell you that you can get jobs easily is not to focus on only one key role. Now, most people, what they do is, because they've learned HR analytics, they only focus on HR analyst roles, whereas we have participants that have gotten jobs as HR data analysts, diversity and inclusion analysts, HR analytics consultants, workforce planning analysts, compensation, talent acquisition analysts, performance management analysts. So you have different roles that cut across multiple nomenclature of the HR analytics job function. So how do you broaden your search when you're trying to apply to jobs? And these are some of the things we'll walk you through and show you during your learning with us, navigating the job market sessions. And we have a breakdown of the curriculum. Okay, what you're going to learn under problem solving, from defining problem statements to the CRISP DM framework to solving data-related problems. CRISP DM is cross-industry standard process for data mining. Cross-industry standard process for data mining. So irrespective of the sector or industry you find yourself, the approach to solving data-related problems follows the same set of approach, the same set of cycle, the same cycle of activities, from your business understanding to your data understanding, your data preparation, and so on and so forth. The cross-industry standard process for data mining. You learn the 5 whys to identify root causes of problems, design an issue tree, the McKinsey-Macy model, and so many other aspects, because that's your role as a professional in an organization, to solve problems. And then you move on to Excel, starting right from the beginning, introduction to Excel. And like I always tell people, anybody who joins this class is joining, we assume you are on ground zero. You have no idea, you have no experience. So we work with you from that level of no experience, and we teach you like you don't know anything. Okay, so literally hold your hands, baby steps until you start to pick up eventually. All right, and that's how you'd learn. And you'd see all the different programs start with the introduction. What is a cell? What is a colon? What is a row? And so on and so forth. That's your first Excel class. Your first Excel class is not to build and solve solutions, no, but to understand the Excel environment. Same with Power BI, same with SQL, your HR performance, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you take out time, you go through the nitty-gritty, look at the HR curriculum, and at the end of the day, you're going to build 6 high-end projects that you would add to your portfolio as your proof of work. This is what I've done. These are the projects I've worked on. And then when you get into interviews, you can speak from the point of, solutions you have provided, because you solve those things yourself. Okay, now, why should you train with Tenalytics? Because you can learn this anywhere. So why Tenalytics? So first of all is our up-to-date curriculum, right? So when you learn with us, you are learning from the best in terms of the curriculum design. Now, you'd go out there, you would not find any HR analytics course that has ChatGPT, for example, show you how to use AI to make your work more efficient. So you have the up-to-date curriculum equipping you with the skills you need to get the job done right on day one when you get a job as a HR analyst. You work with industry experts that have been in the industry for years. They are currently still working in the data space as HR analysts, and they'll bring that wealth of experience, sharing the technical bits of how to get things done, and also experiential learning from their experience, and you also implementing those things in real time. You have a blended learning approach whereby you are learning not every day that you have to learn. Okay, you have classes, your live classes on Saturday. So it's not too much burden on you. Your Sunday classes, you have all day to watch the videos you need to watch. You can break it into the following week, watch on Monday, Tuesday, until the next Saturday when you have the next live class. So that makes it easy for you to catch up on things that might be a little bit difficult. And then the additional employability services, which is, I'm going to, expatiate on this when we move into the next slide, because this is the most important part. And for HR professionals that might be on the call today, apart from the technical skill, which usually would fall within the competency-based questions you get during interviews, to get the interview, first of all, you need a different set of skills, not technical. Okay? And this is why people struggle to get jobs. But I'm going to tell you the secret today. Don't tell anybody. I'll tell you the secret why people get jobs, why we've been so successful in helping people to land different roles across different areas, what we've done that has made us so successful, and how you can also learn from that as well. And of course, you get to join our internship. And at the end of the day, when you complete all of this, you become a master HR analytics professional. So what's that secret that would make you stand out from the competition to even get that interview and ensure that you're able to secure the job? I call it the other 50%, which is the additional employability services. You can be the best Excel user, the best Power BI user, the best SQL. You can be best at anything, but if you have a crappy CV, you would never get invited for an interview. Like I always tell people, organizations don't have the time to read your CV, manually or physically, and tell that, oh, this person has very good set of, skills. What they use is an ATS system, ATS, applicant tracking system, or applicant tracking system that does what? It looks at the keywords on your CV and matches those keywords to the job description, the job requirements. By how much do you match? Let's assume you match by 45%. Your CV is going to be yanked out of the process, and immediately you get, unfortunately, we can't go ahead with you. So how do you craft a compelling CV that positions you in the best possible ways? Like you wanting to take a lady on a date. You want to take a lady that looks presentable. You want to speak to that lady that looks presentable, that looks good, and vice versa. All right. If you don't look good on paper, how do I expect you to look good in person? So potential employers and recruiters would only want to ensure they call in those candidates that have a very good match to the job requirements. So you have 85% of the keywords on your CV. So how do you start to create CVs that would give you positive outcomes, more interview calls, and so on and so forth? And that's what would show you how to do. So the days of you applying to 100 jobs, 50 jobs using one CV would be out of the door, right? For every job you apply to, you start to tailor your CVs to those jobs, just job description and the job requirements. And then LinkedIn optimization. Okay, LinkedIn optimization. If Sonia is still here, maybe at the end, Sonia will share her story with you on how important LinkedIn was in her securing her current job as a HR analyst in the UK. Okay, LinkedIn is absolutely phenomenal, a phenomenal tool that employers, recruiters would go to see that who you have said you are on your CV matches the person and your profile on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is always your social proof for you to show that, yes, I'm a HR analyst, I have done this. I encourage you to put your portfolio, put your projects on your LinkedIn so people can see what you've done. After the call today, one of the first things some of you will do, those of you that are considering joining the program, is to go to my LinkedIn profile, to go to Tenalytics LinkedIn profile, to check us out. Who are they? Are they who they say they are? And so on and so forth. Okay, so that's very important for people to know who you are. Are you really in the tech space? Have you really done anything in HR analytics? Have you done anything, on talent acquisition and so on and so forth? So that's very key and very crucial for you to securing a job. We help you optimize your LinkedIn profile if you don't have an optimized one. If you do have a LinkedIn profile, we help you optimize. If you don't, we help you build one and show you how to build one. All right. Upwork optimization. This is for remote work, freelancing. You want to work on projects. You want to work from your location and work for companies across the globe, in the US, across Europe, and so on and so forth. How do you access those opportunities? You build an Upwork profile so you can start to apply to freelancing jobs. We work with you to get that done. We also ensure that you have an optimized Upwork profile. Navigating the job market session. How do you navigate the job market? Oh, I'm in the UK. I'm a master's student. What do I do when I graduate? I'm in Canada. I'm on the PR route. I came here through PR. What are the type of jobs I can apply to? What should I consider? What are the opportunities available for me? And these are the things we discuss during navigating the job market sessions. References and recommendations. Employers would want to know that you have a reputable organization that you can affiliate yourself with. So when you get that offer, the employers would want to know where you have worked before, what have you done in the past, all right? And that's why we advise all our participants, always have Tenalytics on your CV. So when they reach out, when you are filling the form for your referee, use Tenalytics as a reference, okay? And they reach out to us, they send us a link for us to fill a reference for you. And we feel the most compelling reference that to show that you're of good character, you don't miss work, you always, you don't have any disciplinary issues, and so on and so forth. Because employers want to be sure that they're hiring the correct set of professionals, okay? Job and interview preparation. Now you have that interview. Just like Sonia, I hope Sonia would have. Sonia, please, if you could stay the next 10 minutes, I'll bring you up. Okay, I know we didn't prepare for this, but I think since you are here already, you can as well just share your experience with people here. Job and interview preparation, how important is it to you getting the job? Sonia would share her story and let you know. Sonia, if you're here, if you could just do that now, I think that'll be fantastic. Now that I'm speaking about it, it would be good if you can come up and talk about your experience. If you are ready, please just use the raise hand icon, or I can give you time to prepare. Maybe you want to put on some makeup or something, I don't know, but just get ready. Whenever you're ready, just use the raise hand icon or send me a message in the chat and I'll bring you up to speak. Sonia had an interview and she reached out. She joined us last year, 2022. She came into the UK. She had an interview about 1.5 months ago or thereabouts, reached out to me, Adeza, I have an interview. I need you to help me out. We organized, one of our senior data associates worked with her, prepared her for our interview. Sonia got the job and she's starting as a HR analyst here in the UK after completing a master's program. And that's what interview preparation does for you. You know the type of questions to prepare for. You know how to approach interviews and be your best self in that interview. Then weekly mentorship session where every Thursday evening you have industry experts that will work with you and ensure that you know how to transition all your problems, your challenges, you get that sorted out for you. And you have mentors to look up to ask the questions you will not be able to ask anybody else. All right. One of the major challenges I had transitioning about 10 years ago was not having anybody to ask questions, direct and specific questions. What should I do? Okay, so that's the mentorship session. It's every evening, every Thursday evenings, we have this available for you. Okay, on the job support as well, you get a job, you're not very sure what you need to do, you're not very sure, you have a particular project that seems very difficult. You have people, you have us at Tenalytics to come back to and say, oh, I got this job. Can you help me out? Can you help me sort this out? And so on and so forth. And then this, looking at this, take a picture of this if you can. I'm going to remove the inscriptions. If you have all the skill in the world and you don't have this, you would struggle to get a job. You are very good with Excel, but you don't know how to introduce yourself during interviews. You are very good with Power BI, but you don't know how to talk about the stories and the projects you worked on in a compelling manner that is so constructive that the recruiters flows with that story and get to know and assess your depth of skills based on the way you have communicated it to them. You don't have people to provide references to show that you've done this before in the HR space. You are doing your master's, but all you know about is to work in care or work in the warehouse. You don't have other ideas and solutions and other opportunities you can take note of. So getting a job is way beyond just a technical skill. And that's why we at Tenalytics have been so successful in helping people transition, into different career paths based on their specific objectives. So you have the internship as well. Like I mentioned, once you complete your program, you join the 1 month internship where you get to work on 6 real-life projects for 1 month, honing your skills. You add the internship to your CV, and that gives you that credibility that you know how to do this. You've done this before. You've worked on this project. Here is the link to my portfolio. Go in there and see the fantastic things I have been able to create over time. And of course, our participants have done amazing stuff. This is Deborah. Deborah has built this fantastic HR analytics dashboard. I also kept the link for you here on LinkedIn, so you can go interact with the post on LinkedIn. When she created it, she posted. And of course, you can also see the tiny Tenalytics badge. Proud alumnus of Tenalytics. And this is a fantastic dashboard to show attrition within a particular organization. And of course, you also have Kauthar, who also created this amazing dashboard using Power BI. Also on LinkedIn, the link is there for you to interact with the post. You have Yinla Yefa. You also have the link as well. People building amazing stuff within different, this is Olufemi as well. You also have, this is Olufemi again, all right? So people have built amazing dashboards, analysis, different areas with regards to HR analytics. And these are the things you're going to build and learn as well. Things that seem very difficult at the beginning or confusing because of certain misconceptions that you are used to, until you start and then realize that, oh, I never knew it would be this easy. For those who joined our session yesterday, the business analysis session, you'd see the people that started in October and what they've been able to create within the space of 2 weeks. You'd be amazed. And that shows the project-based method of learning rather than watching videos and simply learning theoretical concepts, but you're working on projects and getting stuff done. All right, 4 months learning journey, fantastic project-based classes for 3 months, 1 month internship. You also get to work on a capstone project. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays, you have your live class where you have your trainer, and then self-paced class on Sundays. No live class on Sundays. You get to learn at your convenience, watching videos and implementing the things you see in the videos, so detailed that anybody can watch those videos and understand what they have in there. And some of the projects you would work on, like I mentioned, fantastic projects. These are an employee management case study you'd work on using Power BI and Excel, HR attrition, employee attrition at IBM. You'd also help them solve an attrition problem that they have, building amazing dashboards, unveiling absenteeism, an organization that have issues with absenteeism. How do you analyze and even get the data sorted out, get the problem sorted out eventually? Your data is going to be gotten from an attendance tracking system. So you'd see in some organizations, you go and you thumbprint to check in, and when you're checking out, you also thumbprint again. So how do you get that data from there to track employees' attendance and absenteeism, to see if there are any patterns and what you can do to address absenteeism? Talent sourcing analysis, part of the projects you'd work on. You'd work on Danny and Son Electronics for an electronics company, helping them solve problems. Your SQL class would also be fantastic, working on different case studies to help you understand how to use SQL to interact with databases and solve problems as a HR analytics professional. and of course, Texas Electronics as well, where you'd also be helping them understand key insights from the data that they've generated within the company. And these are just a few of the projects you'd work on, in addition to your capstone projects, your internship, and so on and so forth. You get to work with some of the best professionals from Emmanuel. Emmanuel is the head of HR at Pedabo. He's a strategic HR professional, also a member of the World Innovation Summit in Doha, Qatar. Fantastic HR thought leader within the space. You'd work with Joseph as well. Joseph is a HR business partner with IBM, one of the professionals that will work with you. He has extensive experience across different multinationals in FMCG, healthcare, and ICT. And Joseph would work with you during your HR analytics journey. You'd also get to have me on board, showing you key aspects. You'd see me or watch me do it videos. You'd see me during the mentorship sessions, helping you to navigate the space, helping you understand the trends in the industry, helping you understand how to prepare and negotiate for salaries, how to negotiate, how to answer questions, introduce yourself using constructive approach during interviews. You have Mohammed, who is also Mohammed will show you how to use Power BI, Tableau, fantastic professional. He has worked with Alfa Romeo in the US and trained over 2,000 people in data analytics. You'd also work with Oladapo. Oladapo is a senior consultant with Deloitte in Bermuda. Okay, Oladapo would be your Excel go-to person. Fantastic Excel professional, helping you break down Excel to the nitty-gritty to understand how to use the tool. You'd work with Olugbemi, who is in Canada as a business data analyst with the Law Depot, and so many other professionals that would help you transition into your journey as a HR analytics professional. All right, Sonia is ready to go. So I'm going to allow Sonia speak very quickly. Sonia didn't know. Well, it's good to have Sonia on the call. When I saw your name, Sonia, I suspected you were going to join us today. Like I mentioned, and I've been talking about Sonia's story. It's a very fantastic story. And I think Sonia is ready to share her story now. So Sonia, I'm going to call you up. If you can put on your video, unmute yourself. Let me spotlight you so people can get to see you. And just tell us about your story, how you were able to transition into a HR analyst role. Yes, I've asked you to unmute yourself, Sonia. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Sonia. Go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you, Adeza, for putting me on the spot. It's actually a good spot because I'm really excited about the job that I just secured. So I will just try to be very brief. So I came across Tenalytics sometime last year on Instagram, and I joined the masterclass like this one. So yeah, it was really, really, really enlightening. And one of the things that attracted me, that made me to, go ahead with the training, was how Adeza actually simplified it was the first time I got to see or know anything about Power BI, and then he had a masterclass on Power BI, and it was very simple. I was really taken, aback by the way the simplicity at which he teaches and all of that. So that's what made me join the program. And when I joined, in fact, the whole trainers or facilitators have the same skill. They can really train something that you're not even used to at all. You don't even have an experience. You become an expert in no time, So that's one of the very, very exciting thing about Tenalytics that I think everyone needs to get into Tenalytics, because it's not everywhere you go that you find such trainers or facilitators help you understand how to navigate a field that you're not even there with. So when I was planning to travel, like you mentioned something about the job market being very competitive. That was one of my motivation. I think you mentioned that advert, and I'm like, okay, yes, since I'm coming to the UK, I would need to, gain extra skills, because the truth is the job market is highly competitive. Yeah, I'm an HR professional, but when you're coming to a place where you're not even sure of what the job market looks like, and the truth is when you apply for jobs, lots of I don't want to just over exaggerate, but thousands of people are also applying for that same job. So you want to stand out, you want to have extra skills that will make you stand out from the crowd. So that was one of the reasons why I had to develop those extra skills to help me stand out. And that's what actually helped me to secure my job today. So before I applied for when I was, called for the interview, I quickly, reached out to Adeza, told him about the opportunity. I didn't want to miss it because it was a very huge one from a multinational company, leading multinational company in the UK. So I knew I would get this job because I know Analytics people, I know their worth, I know Adeza, so I had to just reach out to him to help me, and then he helped me, connected me one of the trainers, or I don't know her position, but she was very good with the interview section with me. She helped me, build that confidence. We did a mock session together. And the truth is, what we actually talked about were the questions that was asked. So I was already pumped up. I had that confidence already to go into the interview. And of course, I wowed the interviewer. So another thing again is the LinkedIn session. After the training, you have to they'll still teach you how to, optimize your LinkedIn, how to prepare for interviews as well, your CV. These are the things, how to tailor your CV to the job description, because the truth is, if you don't do that, you won't get called for interviews, because most of the time it's not humans that are looking at this CV. So you need to use the keywords, and also everything was taught during those sessions, which I think all put together is what will actually help you get in or securing that job. It's a complete package. So my LinkedIn wasn't very okay initially. So I had to now update it with my training with analytics and all of that. So after doing that, that helped me to get the interview. And now I'm currently getting recruiters headhunt me for various job opportunities, and I'm like, no, I have a job already. I'm working, I'm not interested. So that's what that will help you do. So I just want to encourage every one of you to take this seriously, build your skills, improve on your skills, because that's what will help you stand out from the crowd. Yeah, because there's a real large crowd out there if you're applying for a job, or you're trying to get into an industry or an organization that you so desire. It's your skill that will stand out. And that was one of the things, because during the interview sections in the initial stage, I had to go through like almost 4 rounds of interviews for this particular job. I asked the recruiter from the beginning that what was, the skills, what's lacking in the other people that he's interviewing. I did that just for me to be able to prepare myself ahead for the other ones. So he told me that they are very good people, but the truth is they really don't have these skills in terms of what I showcased. Like I told him that I know how to use Power BI, I know how to use Excel, I know how to use SQL. Said, that's what is actually lacking in the people that he's interviewing. And that was why he pushed me to the next stage of the interview, because of those skills that I had. So it's very important that develop yourself, go the extra mile, build skills, that will help. So I wasn't really prepared for this. I hope, thank you very much, Adeza. Thank you so much, Analytics. I'm really grateful.
Thank you very much, Sonia. When I saw that you were on the call, I said, no, I'm going to bring you up to share 1 or 2 key stories, because we had a call last week when you called me to tell me that you got the job. So yeah, absolutely. I was super excited. And when I saw you here, I said, no, you need to share your, success story with others. Let them get to know that, look, people are getting the jobs are available. It's a competitive, space, like you said, definitely. So how do you stand out from the crowd, from the competition? And all of those things I mentioned, from the LinkedIn to your interview prep and so on and so forth, that gets you into the best position. And for us at Analytics, the more we have people like Sonia, the happier we are, the more fulfilled we are to achieving our objective of getting as many Africans, people of the Black community, into tech. So I know that I have a Sonia. If I'm going to that organization, there is Sonia working in there. And that's fantastic for us, for Nigeria, for Africa. And that's phenomenal. Thank you very much, Sonia, for sharing your story. Deeply appreciate you coming up.
Thank
I know
you
it
very
was prompted, but thank you for coming up
Thank
to
you.
share. All
All
right.
right. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Right. So that's Sonia. Like I said, I really needed to highlight Sonia's story because of how compelling it is. And it's very recent as well. Last week, she got the role, she got the job. Okay, we have one more person that would also speak, share her story as well, Priscilla. Priscilla is also a part of the HR analytics program. She would come in the next 2-3 minutes, while a lot of people are asking, what does it take for me to be a part of the HR analytics program? All right. What it takes for you to be here. And of course, you have so many other people that I would love you to listen to. So when you receive the slide, click on the link, listen to them, hear their transition story, people that also got jobs and how they were able to transition into the HR role, especially Victor. Victor is one of our superstars, just like Sonia, who is also a superstar. You get to listen to Victor, hear his story, how he was able to transition as well. Very, very useful and fantastic, motivating. Listen to Sheila. Sheila also joined from Ghana, fantastic lady, joined the HR program and is doing a fantastic job as well. Okay, so just before I can see we have Priscilla is ready to go, but just before Priscilla goes to show us and tell us about her story, Priscilla, just give me 1 minute and then we'll bring you up. The next cohort starts on the 4th of November, Saturday, the 4th of November. All right. And what does it take to be a part of the program, to join the HR analytics? Just like Sonia, who joined, had interview prep, Instagram, LinkedIn optimization, I beg your pardon, and all the other support she got from Tenalytics. And also Priscilla, who is going to join, and every other person you're going to listen to that have done phenomenally well within the space. How do you be a part of the program that starts on the 4th of November, which is also the last cohort we have for the year 2023. If you're going to pay in pounds, you pay £400 to be a part of the program. In Naira, 400,000 Naira. Or if you're paying in Canadian dollars, it's 600 Canadian dollars. But then I mentioned at the beginning that we have a fantastic discount for you guys. And for those of you that have joined our previous masterclasses from the BA, for all the different programs we have and masterclasses similar to the one we are having today, we make these discounts available to you. So rather than paying £400 or 400,000 or 600 Canadian dollars, you get to pay £300 to be a part of the program. And you can make this payment in 2 installments of 200 to be a part, to get started, receive your welcome kits, be a part of the program, and then £100 1 month after the program commences. If you're going to pay in Naira, instead of paying 400,000 Naira, you get to pay 300,000, 200 to get registered and start, and then 100,000 1 month after the program commences. And in Canadian dollars, 500 instead of 600, 350 to get started, 150 1 month after you commence your program with us. So you have a flexible payment plan, which makes it easy for you to be a part of the journey. Just like Sonia, just like Priscilla, you're going to listen to in the next 1 minute. That's how you be a part of the program. And how do you make payments? You have the link here, which my colleague would also share on, on the Zoom chat. She would share the link with you. But all you have to do is, if you click on this link, it takes you into the payments, the enrollment page, and all you have to do, depending on how you're paying. Now, to also mention, the discount is only available to the first 20 people that register from this session, not to everybody. Okay, the first 20 people to register gets the discount. And you can access the brochure by clicking on this link. And if you want to make payments in Naira, for example, all you have to do is use the pay stack option. We also advise that for those in Ghana, just like Sheila and the other Konedu, the fantastic Ghanaians that have been a part of our program, make payments using the Paystack option. Click on this link and it takes you to Paystack. And then you can select the HR analytics program and then you make payments. So all you have to do is go to HR analytics and then you get to make the payment for HR analytics. You click on full payments and then you see the full payment, 300,000, that gets you into the program for HR analytics. And of course, if you're somewhere across Europe, you want to make payments using the PayPal option, you can also do that by using PayPal. All you have to do is click on the full or first part payment, depending on how you want to pay. And you'd see the fee of £300. You click on buy now, and then you can select the option of pay with your card, credit or debit card, and so on and so forth. And you can also make payments using a direct transfer. Okay, to our bank account in the UK, you have the details, and also to the Nigeria bank account, which is a Fidelity bank account. And once you've made payments, how do you get your payment confirmed? Once you've done a transfer, take a screenshot, proof of payment, and all you have to do is upload your payments. Okay, so once you click on this link to upload, all you have to do is enter your details, and you'd see the option that says upload your proof of payment. We receive all your details, and then you get a confirmation email, and you also receive a welcome kit. The confirmation email comes first, and then you receive the welcome kit. The welcome kit contains everything that you need. You need to download and install Excel. You need to download and install Power BI, the video guide, your lesson plan, the timetable, and everything you need for the program would be sent to you in the welcome kit. Okay, so that's how you be a part of the HR analytics program. If I were you, what I'll do is to take a screenshot of the way to make payments so that I can be a part of the first to get the discount for the program. All right, so I'm going to bring up Priscilla now. So Priscilla has been waiting for us. So Priscilla, can you unmute yourself, please? Let me spotlight you so we can all get to see you, Priscilla. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Adeza. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good to see you, Priscilla. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Benin City, Edo
From Benin.
State, Nigeria.
Fantastic. Yeah. Benin, Priscilla joining from Benin, Sonia joining from the UK. So participants cutting across different regions across the globe. All right, Priscilla, tell us, when did you join the training with us?
I joined the September cohort. I actually saw an advert on Instagram, and I saw you talking about the master class, and somehow I got interested in the program. So after which I registered for the master class. And that day when you now explained what HR was all about and the analytics part, I just now made a decision that, okay, maybe I need to hear more of that. So that was why I actually registered for the master class. And when I did, I was just blown away because I realized that there were so many things that I had no idea of. For example, I was hearing Power BI for the first time, and it piqued my interest. So after that day, I think it was the next day, actually, after listening to the masterclass and following, I just decided I was going to be a part of it. And the way I am, once I make up my mind about something, I don't delay. So the very next day I made payments, and that was how I got on board. And I now realized that all the trainers and facilitators, they were very welcoming and patient, because while the classes are on, if you get confused and you don't know what they are doing, you can actually just raise your hand and say, stop, please, can you explain what you did? I remember a particular day where we were on Power BI and we're like building dashboards. And my facilitator said, look at your visualization pane. And I looked at her, I looked at my screen, I could not find mine. So I raised my hand, please, I don't have this visualization pane. And at the end of the day, she sent me a video on how to rectify that. But I just want to say that it's been a very wonderful journey, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And I want to encourage everybody watching and listening to me that if you're in doubt, please don't be. This is a good place to be in, and you'll be in good hands. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Priscilla, for joining us today, all the way from Edo State, Benin, Nigeria. Good to have you come share your story with other people, because one of the major, like you said, not everybody is like you, Priscilla. You decide that this is what I want to do and you go for it head on, dedicate your time, dedicate your resources to ensuring that you get that done. But not everybody would be that, I would say, action oriented. So it's important that people like you who have also joined, gotten value from the program, come share your story to encourage other people to join and for them to know that, look, if Priscilla can do it, I can do it. If Sonia can do it, I can do it as well. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Priscilla, for coming up to share your story with us.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so before we wrap up, like I said, I'll take questions from you. So if you have questions, please feel free. You can use the hand raise icon. I'll call you up to ask your questions before we call it a day. All right. So if you have questions, please feel free to use the raised hand icon. I'll take as many as I can. All right. But for the questions we can't answer today on the call, we would have something called the clarity session. So when you receive the recording and you receive the slides, you'd also get the link for you to indicate if you want the clarity session. But what I always advise, so that you don't miss out on the discount, okay, make your payments and you can request for a clarity session, which is more of a one-on-one with myself or if Femena, the co-founder. You'd find one of us in that session to help you make a decision, because I can hear people talking about, oh, how about data analytics? How about data science? But this is HR analytics. Okay, data analytics is a different, ball game entirely. Data science as well is a different ball game entirely. So you can register your discount, make the first payment, register, secure the discount, have the clarity session with us, and we help you make a decision. Oh, I want to join this because of that. And we tell you our own professional, we give you the professional advice, and eventually you get to make the decision of the best path to follow. So we're going to end at exactly 7:30. All right. So I'm going to take just a few questions, and at exactly 7:30, my time will be wrapping up today. So let's take iPhone. I can't see your name here, but let's take your question. I've asked you to unmute yourself. Go ahead, please, and ask your question.
Yeah, hello, good evening. Wow, so sorry, I didn't realize that my name was not showing. This is available. Yeah, my question is, I missed the session for the business analyst. I think it was yesterday or so. I missed the session. I was wondering if I can get the link or a replay so I can go through it. I'm aware today's session is for the HR analyst, but I was really interested in joining the session for the business analyst yesterday, but I think one or two things came up and I missed it. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, there's a feedback, so I'm just going to mute. So not a problem, Ibina, but as long as you join that session and you also, fill the attendance form, you'd receive all the details. You would likely receive it later today or first thing tomorrow morning. All right. So we make that available to you so you can walk through the session, watch the videos again one more time. And then, like we also said, if you want to join a session where you have myself, the co-founder, and you want to ask sort of personal questions related to your own current career path and how you want to transition, oh, I studied this, or I'm currently doing this, what do you think is the best route for me? You can also join the clarity session once you receive the details in your email. Okay, but you'll get that today or first thing tomorrow morning. All right. Let me take the next question from Kenechi. Kenechi, please go ahead, please.
Good evening. Thank you,
good evening,
Mr. Deza, for the wonderful class.
It's a pleasure.
It's been a very interesting one. So my question is based on the slides, the scenario questions, I believe. In solving one of the especially the manual side of it, I noticed that you clicked on the source of hire when you were trying to do that. But when it comes to the average of performance source, you dragged it. I don't know if I got that question right, but I mean, I got confused. I said, why didn't you click it the way you clicked on the other one? You understand? So
okay, good, very good question.
Another one is the add-ins, like
Yes.
on this the Excel my Excel worksheet. I noticed that I have the add-in, but I didn't see the analyzed data. Then even when I clicked the add-in, I saw some others there, but I didn't see the analyzed data there. I don't know if there is a way for me to get that.
Okay, all right. Very good question, Kelechi. So I'm just going to bring up my Excel one more time. Now, let's go back to what I did, which is this. You are very, very, you have an eye for detail for you to notice that. So it really doesn't matter. Okay, I could have clicked on it and I'll show you. So let me bring back the pivot table field. Okay, and let me take out everything I have. Okay, let me delete the charts first of all. And so I have just my pivot table here, just like how I started. Okay, and I click on source of hire, and then I click on performance score. It does the same thing. If you look at the table, it creates the same table for me. All right. Now, one thing I always advise, so you can either click or you can drag. It really does the same. Now, when you click, the major difference is that you are giving Excel the license, if I can put it that way, to do what it wants. Okay, and what do I mean? Let's assume, if you notice when I clicked on source of hire, it came under rows. It didn't go to filters. It did not go to columns. It went under rows. So the question is, what if you don't want source of hire to be under rows? You want it to be under columns. If you click, Excel is only going to do what it thinks is best. All right, which is to take it under rows, which is obviously in this instance is what we want. But if it's not what we want, we then drag. So it's more or less like saying, if I'm going to drag, it means I have my destiny in my hands. I can choose and place things where I want it to be without giving Excel that license to do what it wants. All right. And usually when you have numerical data, so any data that is numerical, let's go back to the data sets one more time. Now, performance score is numerical, numbers. Number of promotion is numerical. Tenure is also numerical, okay? If you click on any numerical column, by default, it goes to values. By default, it goes to values. And we can test it. Let me deselect what I have, okay? We saw that tenure is numerical as well. If I click on tenure, it would never go to rows, never go to columns. It would go to where? Values. Can you see that? If I click on any other numerical column like number of promotions, it also goes to where? Values. So the way the pivot table works is numerical data, if you click on it, it goes to values. Categorical data, which are text data, text-related data, just like your source of hire, LinkedIn, job this, LinkedIn, job boards, and so on. If you click on text-related data, it takes it to rows by default. So if I click on source of hire is numerical. What else is numerical? Position is, I beg your pardon, source of hire is categorical. Position is also categorical. If I click on position, it's going to go to rows by default because these are not numbers, they are text. So that's the way the pivot table works. Categorical data that are text related goes to rows. Numerical data that are numbers go to values. Okay, so again, I just dragged it just because I wanted to drag, not because it would have changed anything if I clicked on it, but just to give you that clarity so that you can put things where exactly you want them to be. I would rather suggest that you drag. Clicking gives Excel the authority to do what it wants. Oh, by default, it goes to rows. By default, it goes to values. What if I want to put it under columns? What happens then? It means I have to drag it there myself and so on and so forth. So dragging gives you the opportunity to control how you want your pivot table to be. And I hope I answered that question, Kelechi. Then I think I missed your second question. You asked two questions. The first was on the Kelechi, let me, if I can ask you to unmute again. I think I didn't take down your second question. I've asked you to unmute, Kelechi, please. I missed the second question.
Okay. Thank you very much. You actually answered the very first one correctly. So the second one was the Excel worksheet.
The adding, you don't have it.
Yes, I don't have the data, the analyzed data, but I have the add-ins, right?
Yes.
Then when I click on the add-in, it pops up, it brought things that I can add, but I didn't still see the analyzed data. I don't know if there is any way I need to search or something.
Okay.
Because
okay.
when I try searching, I saw data analysis. When I get add-ins, you could see, you click, you see data analytics, but I don't know why I can't see the analyzed data, just the way it's on your system.
Yeah. All right. So again, it's usually a version issue. So the version also determines determines the type of features you have, your Excel version. If you have Excel 2019, 2016, Office 365, and so on. For you to have this without any hassle on any Excel version is where if you're on Office 365, okay, if you're on Office 365, you get the analyzed data by default without looking for it. It's going to be there by default. But it's not only on Office 365 that has the analyzed data. Now, like I mentioned earlier, if you go to your file, you go to options, you check for add-ins. Under manage Excel add-ins, click on go, click on analysis toolpack, select it, and click on OK. All right. When you've done this and you check, you don't still see the analyzed data, close Excel and relaunch. Okay. It should come up at that point. But if it still doesn't come up, then it's probably just the version of Excel that you have. And you might be thinking of getting Office 365. Okay. And there's a way you can use Office 365 for free, but you won't get subsequent updates. Okay. Which, well, I'm going to tell Priscilla to send that across when sending the emails for the recording. But then again, if you want Office 365, which is paid, very cheap, it's actually cheap to pay for Office 365. If you're paying in Naira, I think it's about 2,000 Naira plus per month. So per year is roughly 30,000 per year per annum for you to have Office 365. And any updates that comes in Excel, any updates, you have it automatically added to your own Excel version. And that's the advantage of Office 365. Okay, but it's not compulsory you use Office 365. I think if you have Office 2019, it also gets you the job done. But we'll send you a guide, everybody the guide on how to navigate those different aspects. All right. Thank you for that question, Kenechukwu. So let me take maybe two more questions and then we'll wrap up. I'll take Precious. Precious, please go ahead very quickly and ask a question. Hi, Precious.
Hi.
Thank
you very much. Thank you very much. So I wanted to ask, for people who are within the HR sphere with at least 1 year experience, and looking to go into this data analytics study, HR analytics, right? Are there opportunities that provide these people further studies in locations such as the US, Canada, and the UK for further studies? And I'm talking in the lines of sponsorships. So do you by any way have data or information related to this?
Sorry, I'm not sure I really understand your question. That sponsorship due to
Yes, sponsorships for
your job role.
masters in human resources as a result of having background in this, in data and HR analytics and human resource management.
Yeah, for masters, I'm not sure. I can't give you a definite answer to that. But in terms of getting jobs and being sponsored, absolutely. So you want to get a job, get sponsorship with an organization in the UK, in Canada, and so on. Absolutely. There's so many, opportunities available. I'm not sure if Sonia's job comes with a sponsorship, but I believe it does. Sonia, please, you can type into the chat if your job also comes with sponsorship. Okay, so most people would want to get that sponsorship so that they can stay back and work and eventually get that translated into indefinite leave to remain and also apply for citizenship. Okay, but yes, absolutely, you have for jobs, but for masters, I don't have that information to give right now. Okay, all right. But you can't go wrong getting into tech. That's the general. I'll tell you that in the UK, for example, you have the Global Talent Visa. So many people have gone through that route where you have the opportunity to come into the country and get to work and transition just after 3 years. Although they have their specific requirements on how to transition to the Global Talent Visa, but so many other people have taken the route, and different countries have pathways for those within the tech space. So you can hardly go wrong being in tech. Every projection, every report, the future of jobs outlook, all points towards roles growing in demand within the data space. Number one is AI and machine learning. Number two is sustainability specialist. Number three is business intelligence analyst. And first 20, you'd find the data analyst, data scientist, financial analyst, HR analyst, data engineer. And all you have to do is look at the future of jobs outlook by the World Economic Forum. You'd see the growing jobs and the declining jobs that are growing in demand and jobs that are declining in demand as well. It's a very good place for you to start to see where the trend and opportunities would be in the next 5 to 10 years for those that are looking to switch, where you need to look at in switching jobs. One of the declining jobs, for example, is accounting, bookkeeping, data entry, what else? Administrative executives, bank tellers, and so on. So if you're in that, you find yourself in that particular career path, you want to make a transition or add more value to your current job function so you stand out. If you're a finance professional, for example, you can't just be doing finance. You want to add some analytics to it, to be in financial analytics. Okay, and that's what we always preach to people traveling to different countries, so that you position yourself for opportunities within those countries to get the best jobs available. All right, so just to give you an example of the classroom and how you get to learn before we wrap up. When you join a classroom. This is the classroom for the HR analytics cohorts that started in August. All right, they've covered quite a number of activities, and that's why I want to show you the one for August. We have for September, Priscilla came to speak a while ago. She's in the September cohort. And we also had a cohort that started on the 7th of October. The November cohort starts on the 4th, and you have the opportunity to be a part of that session, okay? So the very first moment you join, you get to be a part of, you have the onboarding, you have your welcome kit, which contains everything you need. If I click on the welcome kit, you'd see your welcome package. Once we confirm your payment, you get the welcome kit. That's myself and Femena. You get to watch a video from us welcoming you into the program itself. It always seems impossible until it is done. Everybody thinks, oh, it's difficult. I can't, possibly get into tech, until you start to get it done and you see other people that have done it too. You have your learning pathway, what you're going to start with, problem solving, You can see your timetable, part of the welcome pack, your weekly mentorship sessions, and so on, how to download and install Microsoft Office, how to download and install PostgreSQL, Power BI, and so on and so forth. All right. Now you move on to that and go to problem solving. Now, one of the fantastic things about the platform is your classes on Saturdays are live classes. However, if you miss a class, all the sessions are recorded, just like this session you joined today is being recorded, and you get the recording. So for problem solving, you have the slides. Okay, you can come back here. You missed the class on a Saturday because you have an event. You have the slides. This session was taken by Nene. Nene currently works with Zelos here in the UK. Zelos is an authorized Nike licensee. Nene has worked with KPMG back in Nigeria, the Bank of America here in the UK, Loros Development Partners, Denom Group. She's a management and leadership advisor at Harvard Business Review. And you start by learning what is data. That's where you start from, all right? Your problem solving class, types of data, data analytics, and that's problem solving. You also have the recording, just in case you miss. Okay, you have the link to the recording, of course, and you can come back here, watch the recording at your own convenience in case you miss the class, even though we advise all the time that please don't miss classes because you play catch up, trying to catch up with the class, which can be difficult if you miss too many classes. Imagine you miss 3 Saturdays. It means you have to watch 9 hours worth of videos. So if you miss a class, you want to ensure that you go back, watch the recording, so you are on the same page. So from the problem solving, you move to your Watch Me Do It video for Excel, the very first Excel Watch Me Do It video, which is where you get to watch videos on your own on Sundays, which introduces you to Excel. So those nitty-gritty, the simple things you can learn watching from videos, you watch those videos. And the next Excel class, you are working on a project. Your Excel Live Class 1 is a project. So you can see the link to join the class link. You click on the link, you join the live class. You have the class recording in case you want to go back to the recording to relieve everything you did and also reference certain things that was done in class, questions, how they were answered. You have the class recording. And then the class material, which is a case study. Every live class is a case study, all right? So case 1, you're going to work on this case study. You have a case 2 where you solve problem in the oil and gas industry and so on and so forth, all right? And you do all of that. You go to your Excel class 2, live class. You have your Excel class 3. You have assignments. And just like the question Precious asked, okay, we bring immigration experts who would come to talk about immigration pathways for tech professionals. So depending on where you are, I'm in the US, you get to ask questions. Oh, what's the best route for me based on, what I'm trying to do and so on. So we have these sessions that you get to join during the navigating the job market sessions. And of course, the mentorship sessions as well. Everything, you have the login details, you have the session recordings, LinkedIn optimization, Excel Live Class 3, which of course is another case study. Like I said, the case studies, the live classes are case study based, where you get to work on real problems. When you get a job, you know how to solve those problems in real life. So this is for a company, Meko Retail, customer demographics and preference analysis. You get to work on this in class with your facilitator, okay? And you move all the way to Power BI, CV review session, mentorship sessions. And just like when you have an interview, I'm going to move up a little bit fast. Tailoring your CV. I took this particular mentorship session where I showed them how to use ChatGPT. So tailoring your CV using ChatGPT. And just to show you the slides, what the slides look like, what your CV must have, what you must have on your CV, the best CV formats, and so on. So what prompts do you need to use on your CV? Okay, so we looked at some prompts and so on and so forth. I took this particular session on tailoring your CV for the mentorship. And of course, like I said, when you also have interviews, all you have to do in your Google Classroom, this classroom that you have the book and interview session, preparation session. You go to the link, click on the link, select a date or time. Okay, you select a date or time that you'd be available. So view next month, let's see. You select a date, let's assume you pick on Thursday, for example, select 7:30, 8:30, and you get to, select the time that you think is preferable. And once you do that, you enter your name, your email, and the details of the job, schedule the event, and somebody would meet you to prepare you for that interview. Now, if you don't find a date that is suitable for you, you can then send a message to your class coordinator, and they would help you address that particular concern. All right. So you have so many case studies. This is an absenteeism case study. Okay. A case study on absenteeism, unveiling absenteeism patterns. All right. So you have an introduction, what is employee absenteeism, and you move all the way to what you're expected to do about the case study, your objective, the analytical approach you're meant to take, your focus, and of course, you're going to build your dashboard to help you solve this problem. Okay. And so many on, that's what you have, the way you learn with us, talent sourcing dashboard solutions, where we'll show you how to solve problems on talent sourcing, which is another case study that you'd work on. So it's practical case study based, and that's how you learn. So this is what the platform looks like. Okay. I'll take one more question and use that to wrap up the session for today. And I'll take that question from Samuel. So Samuel, go ahead and ask your question. For those who haven't had the opportunity to ask, remember when you receive the recording, select that you want to meet or have the clarity session. We'll meet with you on Tuesday afternoon or evening, depending on your preference, and we'll help you address any, questions or concerns that you have. Go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, good evening, Adija.
Good evening.
Firstly, I would like to appreciate you for the session. Thank you very much. So my question goes thus: although my colleague has registered in the past for this what's it called, Microsoft and Power BI, which I've gone through and understand some things about it. So, but my question is that is there a way I can get a mentorship just for guides and all?
Okay. All right. Good question, Samuel. So I'm just going to mute you because you have some feedback coming from your end. Now, one of the things we've also seen, and one of why we don't really like, first of all, let me put it this way. For you to enjoy any of the benefits that comes with our training, which is the CV, the LinkedIn, the mentorship, the job interview preparation, job support, and all of those fantastic stuff, is when you get to join our program. All right. And that's simply because the focus for us goes far beyond just training you. And because you haven't trained with us, we've seen this happen too many times. There was a gentleman just like you, Samuel, who came to us. And I'm not saying this is your case. I'm just giving you an example. And we've had so many of that. They come to us and say, oh, I learned in this particular place and I'm good with Power BI. I'm good with Excel. All I need is projects. I sent him not me personally, but we sent him the first project, second project, third project, and he was meant to submit each project per week. First week, nothing from him. Second week, nothing from him. Third week, nothing from him. Hey, what's going on? You haven't solved the project. You haven't responded. You haven't given us any feedback. And we found out that he had no clue on how to solve those problems. So now you say you've learned somewhere and you are good. However, you can't solve the problems we've given to you. So how good are you? And that's where we find it very difficult to work with people like that, because you have to go back to start learning those key areas. Because learning Excel or learning Power BI in a particular from somewhere is different from what is required for you to get a job. What we work with you and train you on is how to get a job. Okay, if you watch from Tenalytics, that's absolutely fantastic. But again, like I said, are you a Tenalytics alumnus? If you are, you're going to join that for free without any hassle, without any issues. But if you're not, you'll have to make the full payment, just like you're joining a main class. The full payment. Okay, so that's what we currently offer at the moment. For you to enjoy all those benefits is equivalent to you registering to joining a main class. You can't just be in the mentorship and then you don't have somebody to prepare you for interviews, or you don't have somebody to work on your CV for you or your LinkedIn. It's an all-encompassing package to ensure that you don't just learn or watch videos, but you actually get the job. That's the focus for us. Debs is saying, I made payment yesterday and the option of clarity and to also start in January. It's all these Zoom sessions part of the training. No, it's not, Debs. The training hasn't started, but as long as you've made payments and you fill the form, there is no issue at all. Also ensure that you have our numbers. And once you have, I'm just trying to share that again one more time. But Debs, you have no issue at all as long as you've made payment and you want to start in January. That's totally fine. Okay. So you selected January. That's what you said, Debs. As long as you selected January, you're good to go. So we have that in our records. When it's time for us to start the January cohort, which I think is on the 6th of January, if I'm correct, you get to be a part of that cohort and you still get the discount available in November. So that's the advantage of securing your discount today. All right. So you can also see our numbers, any of the numbers here. The moment you send us a message to any of these numbers, all your problems are solved. All the problems you think you have would get solved for you. I'll be looking forward to meeting you, Debs, during the clarity session on Tuesday. And for those who would also be joining the program as well, take advantage of the discount. Like I said, we'll be looking to meeting so many of you joining the program. And for those who you feel could benefit from this, your colleagues, your brothers, your sisters, your family members, share the message with them. And you might just be doing somebody a great service, getting a job. There are a lot of people that got jobs because they heard about us from a friend. They heard about us from a family member. There is somebody on my slide who got a job because his elder brother shared the details with him. And I'll show you the gentleman. That's him, Uthman. Uthman, fresh out of the university, his elder brother joined our live masterclass like this, the free masterclass, sent the details to him, paid for him. He joined, completed his program. I worked with him during his interview. He currently works with the NHS as a business intelligence officer today. So help somebody also make that transition into tech. Perhaps you won't be able to start now. You're not looking to make a switch, but you have a younger brother, a younger sister, a cousin, a family member that you think can benefit from this. Share the message with them and we'll get to see you join our program. All right. I selected January and I also want some clarity. That's not a problem, Debs. We'll get to see you on Tuesday afternoon or evening, depending on the time you selected. And for those who haven't also, who have taken advantage, made payments, but you also need to have a conversation with us to say, oh, this is what I selected. You think this is the best pathway for me? We'll be available to also address those areas. Thank you very much for spending your Saturday with me. And as usual, I always have a fantastic time, interacting with you guys. So follow us across all our platforms, from LinkedIn to Instagram to X to Facebook, across all our platforms, so that you get to see the amazing stuff we're doing. And when we have sessions like this, you also get notifications to be a part of the program, the free program, most especially, because I'll tell you for a fact, there are some people that don't pay. They join our free sessions month in, month out, month in, month out, and they learn something new every single time. All right. So thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And I hope to see you in the main class starting on the 4th of November. Have a wonderful time until we meet in another session. Cheers, guys.